Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
During Christmas, I sat down with my lovely wife, Deanne, in a quiet corner of the room, and we were trying to figure out financially how we can retire and live off of our savings. After great deliberation and study, we're not sure what we're going to do the second week. Good morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America, followed by a patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Morning, morning. Saving money. Wouldn't it be nice? Good morning. I'm Zeb Bell at Zeb at the Ranch with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, and some of our great advertisers, including Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service today. Locally owned and operated, Kelly and the crew serving you at 734-6969. You know, that's not so funny, is it, Gina?
No, it's not, because it's getting harder and harder to save.
You know, if you took a look at every dollar and tried to save 20 cents out of every dollar, you know, it sounds like a minuscule amount. You can't do it.
No, you can't do it. It's just so hard. So for the people who are able to save, good for you.
Yeah.
I just can't yet.
Yeah. And like I was almost joking, but, you know, after the first week of retirement, what are you going to do for funding the second week?
Exactly. You're jokingly serious or seriously joking, one of the two.
Yeah, no kidding. Do we have a pledger?
Probably going to be me, and then we've got Mr. Michael Rogers on for the weather.
All right. Well, then you do a wonderful job. Go ahead.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Very well done. And right now, thanks, Gina, always with a great Pledge of Allegiance, we look to the weather and can't look very far because it's too foggy outside. Cheney Flooring and Home Design, our sponsor for the weather, and they do such a wonderful job at 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for the blue door. Don't forget they've got brand new hours, Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, and Saturdays, 10 to 4. And these are folks that really can help the beautification of your home decor. And they've got all the new Valentine decorations in there, too. So stop in. Oh, and by the way, they're having a hardwood floors big sale, 10% off right now at Cheney Flooring and Home Design. Look for the blue door at 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Here now, Michael Rogers weather.
Morning, 24 degrees in Murtaugh, and Zeb is talking about that fog. It's going, you're on the tail end of it as far as we're being done with it. Still got some patchy, dense fog throughout much of today and also for tonight. Should be all the way out of here by tomorrow. Temperatures are holding as advertised throughout the week, 30s for the high and low to mid-20s for the overnight low. There is a slight chance of snow for Friday, very slight chance, but otherwise we're finishing up the cloud on the ground event known as fog. Hang in there, we're almost done. Enjoy the weather. Tell me whether you got it.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it. Cheney Flooring and Home Design bringing you the weather first off this morning at 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Don't forget all their newly refurbished furniture right there at Cheney Flooring and Home Design. Look for the blue door. Oh my, good morning. We got a lot of things to cover today, and some really good guests coming in here, so stay tuned. We're going to be talking about all kinds of different subjects this morning, and start off with the coldness, absolute brazen coldness, and calculating personalities of the Kouachi brothers over in Paris, France. I don't know if you've watched the video of these killers. I don't know if you want to watch the video of these killers. Some of the news networks have shown more, I think, than what they anticipated to show, of the absolute killing like a dog of the policeman laying on the driveway, or the sidewalk, pardon me, and the calculated, as I said, coldness of these people. Unbelievable. You could see that with their demeanor and their movements. These were highly trained individuals. And when the car goes down the alleyway, and there's a police car ahead, they just start shooting and literally forcing and creating a situation to where the police had to back up and get down to the next intersection, and their use of the automatic weapons by the Kouachi brothers absolutely devastating, and leaning out the window shooting. They didn't care if they died. They didn't care. That's how highly trained they were in the Islamic Jihad attitude. And I'm absolutely shocked. Again, yesterday, it was very poignantly clear that this administration, these people that work under Obama and under his ideology, they will not call it what it is. When the killers had performed their dastardly deeds, they yelled out that was an avengement for the Prophet Muhammad. They said that. And if that's not enlisting and advocating the support of Islam and their faith in Islam as Muslims, I don't know what is. But yesterday, from the spokesman, Josh Earnest, all the way to other people in the administration and news media people that are tied at the hip with the Obama administration, nobody would say Islamic terrorists. Nobody would say Muslim terrorists. Nobody would say radical Islam. No! Absolutely not. They will not say it. And Josh Earnest said to refer to attacks as radical Islam would be inaccurate. Now, stop the bus for a second. Let it idle. How in the world, and somebody please call me on this morning, how in the world, if it walks like a duck, talks like a duck, it must doggone sure be a duck? And how can they keep covering this up? Even liberal outlets this morning, and I am not kidding you, I went through the dial and I listened to Morning Joe on MSNBC. Boy, you talk about a liberal station. Woo! CNN. Woo! Wow. All of them were asking questions this morning as to how in the world this cannot be mentioned as radical Islam, Muslim terrorists, or Islamic problems. They're wondering why the president and his staff will not, they keep avoiding the issue and not calling it what it is. Your thoughts. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know, I hate to, in the same vein, even mention Christianity, but as Christians, we have so many evils that are against us and so many evils that have tried to downgrade Christianity. I'm not even going to mention some of the things they've done. And we are told and asked to remain as Christians and turn the other cheek. Not the Muslims. Stand by, caller. Give me a quick break. I'll be right with you. Don't forget Valleywide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. And, of course, they've got all your fishing gear. A lot of people love ice fishing. A lot of people are stocking up for next spring and summer. Yeah, buddy. You can stop in and say to them, if you heard this on Zeb Bell's program, you get what's called a 10% off fishing card that's going to last you for the rest of the season. No matter what you need for the rest of the season, you get 10% off because you used my name. Not in vain, but in a real affirmative over there to save money at Valleywide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. And you stop in and see Sean and Mandy and the rest of the crew today at Valleywide Home and Ranch. Wonderful people serving you. Real quick, caller, I'm coming. Stand by. Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Number to call, 678-0459. And if you need something electrical and you're in a hurry and you call ahead and say, can you have that ready at the counter? It'll be there at the counter. These are wonderful people, and they've got all your air filters, quality air filters for your furnace to keep it running smoothly and efficiently all winter long. Yep. Warm winters, cool summers. Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. Yeah, my opinion on why he won't call it radical Islam is because he is one, and he cannot speak against his own. He can lie to people to further the cause, but he cannot speak ill against his own.
Well, and Doug, okay, this is hard for me to do, to look at the other side, okay, because I'm very prejudiced against this man. I don't like him. But, okay, let's just suppose that all that we say and all that we think about this man is true, okay? You still have to be honest with the American public, and you still have to bear the facts out in front of the American public. When you have killers, I mean, these are highly trained killers that are yelling and screaming that they were avenging the Prophet Muhammad because of what the magazine Charlie Hebdo had done, that's not saying something about Adolf Hitler. It's not saying something about Mussolini. It's talking about the Prophet Muhammad, which they believe in through their Muslim faith. Why can't we be honest with each other?
Well, my opinion, the president and his cabinet and the people that he has under some, or I don't know what he's got on them to lie the way they do, like the press secretary does, and everybody for him. I lost my train of thought.
Well, you were just saying that everybody seems to be in the same vein, and Josh Earnest is nothing more, and I'm sure they're all like this to some extent. He's nothing more than a trained puppet, a robot that stands up there at the podium and absolutely is not going to put any shadow on this administration.
This is very true. It's very true, and I feel sad for him. I pray for him because he sold his soul to the devil, to the way he lies to the American people. And this president never has been truthful with the American people.
No. Why in the world is it so hard to say something like this? Okay, and I'm conjuring this up this morning. For those of you in the audience that are Muslims and are law-abiding, peaceful people, we salute and respect you. But for the fringe that are taking matters into their own hands as terrorists with a radical jihad against the rest of the world, we will hunt you down and kill you. You know, what's wrong with making a differentiation there? Because basically we have a radical jihad, we have an Islamic jihad, we have Muslim terrorists, but nobody will call it what it is.
Yes, well, the French president, prime minister, he called it what it was, and so did the Egypt.
Yeah.
And he says, we need to stop this, and it needs to be stopped from within. Well, what scares me is the ones that are the moderate, the ones that are law-abiding and stuff like that, do not speak up against it.
Okay, now, Doug, right there is the key that unlocks the door for a lot of discussion. You've heard me on this program say this for months. I know you have if you've been listening, that it was about time that there were denouncements from the bulk of the faith itself and against all these people that are besmirching everything that they say they stand for. And by not criticizing the radicalism part of their religion, they're actually advocating it.
They're condoning it, yes.
Yes.
They are, and like I say, the president can't speak ill against it. They can't speak ill against it, or they are targeted.
But
they've got them brainwashed.
But there is a caveat there, Doug, and I'm just throwing this out for the discussion. I honestly think that if push comes to shove and there is a call, I wonder how many will not stand up and honor that so-called call.
Exactly, Zeb.
Yeah.
Good show this morning.
Thank you, Doug. Appreciate you. Always. Appreciate it. I'm really concerned. I just don't know why this administration can't be honest with us. And this, of course, is not the only thing. I mean, my goodness sakes, we've seen the obstruction of truth from this Obama administration on a lot of things. Look at Obamacare. I mean, how dare anybody get on this program right now this morning and defend Obamacare as being forthright, honest, and transparent from the get-go? That is a bunch of fecal material out in the barnyard. And you just go further and further and further into this administration with the lies and the innuendos and the cover-ups. Again, talking about the IRS scandal or any other scandal that's come up with this Obama administration. There has not been the transparency and the truth, and they won't call it or correct it for what it is. And this is a glaring example. Now, a lot of people think that Obama is of Muslim faith and Islamic belief. Okay. But to not honestly give a fair appraisal of what the problems are and not honestly tell the people who our enemies are and try to keep covering it up by saying, oh, well, no, I think why any attacks like this are not from radical Islam, that would be inaccurate. These are just, these are terrorists. For what? For what purpose? That's the part that leaves all the threads laying bare. There is no truth. There is no honesty. And there's no reprisal against the people that are just absolutely tearing this world apart. I have talked to some people back east since yesterday, actually since Monday, and many of which work for the various think tanks back on the East Coast that help supply people to various talk shows to talk about political stories, etc. And without mentioning names, many of them believe that this situation in Paris with the Kouachi brothers and others is going to open up into a much wider network, a huge network of people that we haven't even seen below the top of the waterline. And it's going to get very spooky. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget Denny's Restaurant, 611 Overland in Burley. Oh, the home of Zeb's Lunch Bunch, and we're going to have our lunch bunch next Thursday, the 22nd. 2 locations now for Denny's Restaurant. I'm telling you, the food is phenomenal. I talked to Thomas yesterday and bragged on him and said how much we enjoyed stopping into that new location at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. But we have our Zeb's Lunch Bunch right there at their location at 611 Overland in Burley. Great, fantastic food, super menu, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Oh, yes, they take care of us. Great service at Denny's Restaurant. You're going to love it. Stop in and see those good folks at Denny's Restaurant today. Also, if you need equipment and you're looking to buy and or lease, there is only one place to go. Berry Equipment and Rental. Actually, there's not just one place to go. There's 3 locations right here in Magic Valley. Addison Avenue in Twin Falls and South Lincoln in Jerome and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. They've got the equipment to do any job right. That's right. Retail equipment sales, equipment rentals, parts and service, and they've got the people. They've got the people that can help you get the equipment to get the job done right. All of this at Berry Equipment and Rental. Addison Avenue in Twin Falls, South Lincoln in Jerome, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Berry Equipment and Rental. Really, really good folks. All right, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Couple of notes I want to throw in. The Charlie Hebdo magazine is going to put another cartoon drawing of Muhammad on the cover. And they're not going to weaken. They're going to come up with Muhammad holding a sign that says, I am Charlie. In French, Je suis Charlie. And I was reading a little bitty story on the 2nd or 3rd page in USA Today yesterday. And it's down through about the 3rd paragraph in this story. There was a disclaimer from USA Today about carrying a little story and a little cartoon showing the picture of this magazine cover. All right, here's what it says. USA Today traditionally does not show images of Muhammad to avoid offending Muslim readers. But the magazine cover has enough news value to warrant its publication in this case. You know, no matter where you go, no matter who you are, no matter what your religion is, no matter what your likes and dislikes are, no matter what type of food you like or don't like, somebody is going to offend you and your tastes and your rights and wrongs. But right there in the statement by USA Today, they said, USA Today traditionally does not show images of Muhammad to avoid offending Muslim readers. So they don't want to offend a certain segment, but everybody else is fair game with their cartoons and what appears on their op-ed pages. And that's not just true for USA Today, it's true for a lot of the news media. You can go after Christians. Oh, we'll lambast them. We can go after Jews. Why, we'll just have a heyday. But the fear factor for those that will admit it, is that they will not go and say anything or do anything to provoke Islam. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I want to thank our friends at Pacific Steel and Recycling, 320 West Main in Burley. Oh my, Adam, Josh, the whole crew. And it's an employee-owned company, and they take care of you. Always offering superior customer service and kind of drive-through recycling. You stop down there today. Pacific Steel and Recycling, 320 West Main in Burley. And they've also got all the trailer parts, too. Did you know that? They handle trailer parts. So if you need to get something for your trailers, they can help you at Pacific Steel and Recycling, 320 West Main in Burley. And right now, here is the Capital Press Ag Minute.
The Capital Press Ag Minute is brought to you by OnlyAg.com.
Governor Butch Otter's proposed fiscal year 2016 budget includes an additional $1.53 million for agricultural research and extension and an extra $600,000 for secondary ag education programs. It also includes more money for wolf control efforts and rangeland management programs, as well as an additional $750,000 for sage grouse prevention efforts. The additional $1.53 million for University of Idaho's agricultural research and extension budget completes Otter's promise to reinstate in 5 years the $5 million in ongoing funding UI's College of Agricultural and Life Sciences lost during the last recession. The proposals must be approved by the legislature.
To receive instant, exclusive, unlimited access to the West Agricultural News Source, register your account today at capitalpress.com.
Thank you very much. Brought to you by Pacific Steel and Recycling. Really good folks. Thank you for sponsoring the Capital Press Ag Minute at 320 West Main in Burley. Always. And by the way, too, junk car removal, and I said it's a employee-owned company, and they've got the big scrap bins over there for all your recycling. Pacific Steel and Recycling, 320 West Main in Burley. You know, on certain subjects on this program, you can kind of tell that people shy away from certain of the most controversial. I don't know why, but it's just human nature, I guess. But we can't shy away, folks. We have to voice our opinions, and we have to let everybody know how we feel. And so I really do appreciate your calls at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know, the other day, I believe it was Monday, we put a story on our program in regards to Obama and any of the high-ranking officials, quote-unquote, from the Obama administration not participating in the Solidarity March over in Paris, France. And there were some that I had talked to prior to going on the air that morning, some of the people in the news industry back east in New York and Washington, that had told me that Obama is going to turn this thing around so he doesn't look bad, and he's going to start blaming the Secret Service. Well, I have right here in my hot little hand a news story that came across the wire this morning at Eastern Time, 6:59. And it was a story about, let me get his name right here because I've seen him on television, former Secret Service agent Dan Bongino. Now, he used to be a Secret Service agent. He is no longer connected to the Secret Service, and he is a private businessman on the East Coast right now, and he's considering running for public office. Well, he blasted Obama's decision to blame security concerns for the president's decision not to attend the parade and march in Paris. And quite frankly, Obama said, well, they weren't prepared, and they hadn't sat down and discussed it, and the Secret Service was ill-advised, all this. No! The Secret Service said that it was never asked to prepare for a presidential visit to Paris. And Bongino goes on and says that in a moment's notice, if the president wants to go someplace, or if the president wants to do something, they have the power in the Secret Service, and they have the personnel in the Secret Service, and the wherewithal to get the job done. And Bongino said, I imagine what they're really thinking is this guy serious? It's not an easy job. After the fence jumper, morale's not great over there now at the White House, but he still says something that is so obviously not true. And then Bongino goes into this part of the story. He says, just look at the Mandela funeral, which was geometrically worse when it comes to threats. And Obama went to that because he wanted to go. If the president wants to go, he goes. The Secret Service doesn't tell him he can't go. That's only in the movies. So basically, Bongino, speaking out as a former Secret Service representative, and he came out and he said, Obama acts like a child, and no one outside of conservative media holds him to account. These people are forfeiting their lives for him. This guy is just acting like a petulant child. Well, I'm afraid we're going to hear a lot more after this presidency is over about how this president and the First Lady acted as petulant childs. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. Well, there's our answer. We've been wondering what to do. We felt like our hands were tied. Now we know. We just need to tell the Secret Service to tell Obama not to do stuff, and he'll do it.
Yeah, kind of a reverse psychology. I guess you're right.
That is the most ridiculous.
Well,
I don't know.
Let me ask you a question.
Wrong with everything.
Let me ask you a question, caller. And this is a serious question. The world leaders, including Germany and all the other world leaders from over in Europe and around the globe, saw that as a method and mode to have solidarity against a very dangerous organization, and that's ISIS and Al-Qaeda. So they, at a drop of a hat, joined together, climbed on their country's jet, and made it over to Paris for that solidarity march. And can you tell me one good reason why Obama, why Biden, why John Kerry, why Eric Holder, why any of them could not have been there?
Oh, certainly, because we are trying to annoy and disrespect our allies right and left. And what a way to go. You got a lot of them right in one little circle right there, so let's just not go and get the whole band while we're at it.
And I want to ask you about terminology here. Yesterday I got into quite a debate about the words mistake and choice. Now, you are a very sharp lady. You know the difference between a mistake, and you also know the difference between choice. It was not a mistake, as the White House said, that they didn't go to that march. It was a poor choice. Would you agree with me?
Yes, I do. I do. I think that you can get into the semantics all you want with mistaken choice. That's okay, but we're not stupid. We all know. We just know what the difference is.
Absolutely. Hey, have a great day. Stay out of the fog and enjoy. God bless you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Very nice lady right there, and I appreciate her call. Let me take care of some bills, and I do want your calls, so give me a jingle real quick, would you please? Hey, I talked to old Jeff Poole yesterday. Jeff, how you doing, buddy? At Scouts CarQuest Centers. Customer satisfaction is always the goal. I'm telling you, they work hard, they care about everything, and they provide excellent service for you and your automobiles. I'll tell you, they've got all your automotive replacement products, accessories, and supplies for virtually every vehicle. And right now, it's time to have the custom filter surveys done. Call Scows and schedule an appointment for them to come to your place, go through all your trucks and vehicles. They'll number each vehicle, and when a problem arises, just give them a call, give them a vehicle number, and they'll know exactly what needs to be done. That's a great service from Scows CarQuest Centers. 518 Overland in Burley, 323 East 8th and Highway 25 in Rupert, exit 211 180 I-84, right there with their big truck depot. I'm telling you, every detail matters at Scows CarQuest Centers. Give me a call. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Come on, don't be cowardly. Give me a jingle. Oh, and while I'm waiting for your call that I know is coming in, I was really honored yesterday afternoon, Deanna and I both were, to have Zach Hansen stop by from Minnecasia Sales, 1321 East Main in Burley, right across from the Burley Airport. I'm telling you, this business, Minnecasia Sales, they have got so much over there, from windows and doors and garage doors and lumber, all the way to being a distributor for Tartar Ranch and farm equipment. That is good stuff. Let me tell you, that is good stuff. And all the knowledge, I'm telling you, Zach and Joanne, the whole crew at Minnecasia Sales, and they are the new sponsor of Dr. History on Tuesdays, located at 1321 East Main in Burley. All right, give us a call. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. In other news, it looks like, as we follow the clicker on my remote to various and sundry channels, Mitt Romney is throwing his hat in the ring. Yep. And do you know who Bill Kristol is? You've seen Bill Kristol. He's a conservative writer and really covers the Washington political scene. I really like his writing, and I think he's very straightforward. If he calls it a duck, it's a duck. Well, he was on television early this morning, and he said some things that are absolutely the way we felt on this program last Monday morning. I said that it's the same old with politics. Oh, we got the McConnells. Oh, we've got the John McCains. Oh, we're stuck in the same silly little wagon rut. And he agrees. And he said that if you want to see how this next election is going to shape up for especially the Republican Party, he just said go get reruns of the past two elections and you'll see the same individuals involved. Nothing has really changed. Well, the new poll came out this morning in Iowa. And, Iowa, they're ahead of a lot of states and ahead of a lot of thinking as to what's going on in this country. And it was not really surprising that they had Mitt Romney at 21% favorability, and quite a ways away, really, when you think about it. At 14% was Jeb Bush, and then the also-rans, like Scott Walker, governor of Wisconsin, and Mike Huckabee, and all Rand Paul, and all those. Well, Bill Kristol said it best. It just looks like a rerun of past political races. Ho-hum boring. I could not agree with him more. We need new thoughts. We need new blood. We need to get away from the old establishment. And, man, I'm pushing for the Rubios. I'm pushing for the Cruzes. I'm pushing for all the people that want to get involved and really start to shake things up. But this old guard, it's like watching a Geritol commercial when McConnell's on there and John McCain. John McCain should have been turned out to pasture a long time ago. And then there was the discussion about Hillary. Oh boy. I'm going to get in trouble with some of the women over this, but it's the truth. Have you seen her lately? Have you watched her demeanor? Have you watched her as she sits on a stage waiting to speak? Or have you watched her when she goes to the podium to speak? Okay, gals, get ready to criticize me. She looks like a frumpy, old, worn-out pillow. She does. You talk about optics. That woman has nothing, nada, that is going to inject any enthusiasm or say, wow, here comes a first-class candidate for the presidency. Nothing. What's that cat? What do they call that cat? Grumpy cat or something like that? The cat's made a ton of money. Well, you could equate Hillary's looks with that grumpy cat. Cat makes a lot of money just laying around looking grumpy and frumpy. Well, Hillary's the same. But this woman has no projection of the word that seems to be kind of a key word in Washington right now, optics. She's not memorable in a positive way. And I was watching some clips early this morning of her sitting up on the dais waiting to speak, and her hairstyles and her lack of class when it came to dressing for an event. Whoa! Not good. And I think, honestly, she's pushing people away from her just because of the optics. What are your thoughts? Give me a call. 4-3. So I can see some of the women in the audience are going, how dare you pick on Hillary? That's tough. She deserves it. She is just not anything but frumpy. That's a good word. I love that word. Frumpy. Like a worn out pillow. I had to think about that one for a while. Time for the weather, brought to you by Red's Trading Post at 203 5th Avenue South. Let's hear from some gals. I want to hear some of the ladies agree or disagree with me. Come on. I know you're out there. Red's Trading Post, 203 5th Avenue South in Twin Falls. Ryan Horsley and the rest of the crew. Oh, my. Consignment service, bring in your firearms, and they'll sell them online for top dollar. And they've got the greatest selection of new firearms: Browning, Beretta, Weatherby, Ruger, Benelli, Smith & Wesson. Oh my, they can help you with the guns, the ammo, all the accessories at Red's Trading Post, 203 5th Avenue South in Twin Falls. And right now here is Michael Rogers' weather.
Hi everyone, Michael Rogers is at the ranch, and you got clouds, and it's going to stay pretty much a cloudy day today. The fog is slowly but surely getting away from us. You're going to see some patchy, dense fog throughout much of the day tonight, also tomorrow. Should be clearing out tomorrow all the way across the board. Slight chance of snow on Friday. So what are the temperatures for today? I haven't changed. They've been pretty much in the 30s for the daytime high and the low 20s for the overnight low. Enjoy the day. Enjoy the weather. See on the weather you got.
Michael, thank you very much. Brought to you by Red's Trading Post, 203 5th Avenue South in Twin Falls. Thank you very much. You know, Gina always presents herself, and my wife always presents herself in a manner that when we go out, she's always dressed nicely and looking good. I know that when Gina goes out and she comes to some of these special remote broadcasts and everything, Gina, have you noticed that Hillary just doesn't seem to care?
She looks tired. She looks worn out. She looks like she's been drugged through the mud.
Frumpy.
Yeah.
And who is picking her clothes?
Good question. Normally they have somebody, you know, like a personal assistant who takes care of their wardrobe and makes sure that they look presentable when they go out into the public. Maybe she doesn't have that person anymore.
Well, you know, and you, I think, will agree with me that being on television as a broadcaster, as you were, people, first of all, conceive the image of a personality by the way you dress and look.
Yes, yes.
And I was watching Hillary in some of these clips that showed her speaking to various groups, etc., and I'm telling you, first of all, I'll buy into what you said. She looks tired. She looks frumpy, but I'll go back to what I said. She looks like a worn-out pillow, and she looks like, optically, she doesn't care what she looks like.
Maybe just because I haven't followed up on Hillary in a long time, because really she's not on my radar anymore. I don't care about her.
Yeah.
What about her health issues? Is that taking? You think that that's going to take a toll on her?
Now that's a very good point, because we really don't know. I don't think you know. I don't think I know. No one in the United States knows how serious her health, quote unquote, issues are or have been.
Yeah.
But let me ask you, as a woman, do you feel a significant bond in any little bitty respect at all for her to become the president just because she's a woman?
No. I would not vote for her.
How many people that you are friends with would say the opposite?
I don't think any would vote for her.
Really?
I don't, honestly, and I've got quite a bunch of liberal friends, but I don't think, maybe one person that would vote for her.
What are, as a journalist, now forget about the woman angle, but what are the attributes that would give her a leg up, so to speak, above any other candidate and her abilities? I can't think of anything.
I can't think of one. She backed out of being Secretary of State. She left in scandal. Since then, it's just been one scandal after another, whether it be her husband, their organization. They have, even when he was in the presidency, they were riddled with scandal. It seems like she'll go out and she'll say one thing, but then she backtracks and does another. I've lost a lot of respect for the woman. And, you know, I was, when she first announced that she was going to run for president, you know, in the last election, I was like, but then again, Obama beat her out. And that's when I was actually kind of sort of pro-Hillary.
Yeah,
but since then, you know who I would like to see as a woman? Elizabeth Warren.
Now see, that woman scares me.
You think so?
That woman scares me because she is extremely far to the left. And I'll say this, and I respect your opinion, but when a person and a politician combined into the same personality have to lie about their heritage to get a substantial amount of the vote to win an election, I have not much use for those people.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of use for people who lie to get to the position that they are. Of course, then again, we've got some people, here in our own state who have done that. So.
I agree with you, Gina. There's no question. But, to invoke the heritage of the American Indian and say that, well, my bloodline and my great-great-grandfather and all this, and then to find out all of that was substantially just basically barnyard material. It was not the truth at all. To get a vote, boy, I just can't trust a person like that.
No, I can't trust a person like that either, and especially to lie about your lineage, because anybody can get online and go to Ancestry.com and type you in.
There you go.
I mean, really, I do have that Native American lineage, but do I fly that flag? No, I don't. Would I fly that flag to get a vote? No, I don't. What people need to do to fly their flag to get that vote is to be honest, to stand up for what you say you're going to vote for and stand on that platform and stand.
But why, you bring up a really good point there, and I've sat and talked to many, many people about this. In this day and age of Googling and going through and finding out all the information and verifying the facts and finding out what's real and what's untrue, I am absolutely amazed as to how some of these politicians, including Obama, can say and do things and expect that it's not going to be dredged up and thrown in their face.
Well, especially now in the digital age. Everything's recorded. Everything is out there on the Internet. And so you can say something, and especially if you're in the job position that they have, where all cameras are always on you all the time, you say something 5 minutes later, or sometimes even 30 seconds later, it's going to be up on the net.
Yeah, absolutely. And like on this program, we through our computers, and John Ellis, my guru, we can go back and say, okay, on January 14th at the second segment, we need to have this checked. Some people question what was said. We can go right to it and give them a copy. And if I'm wrong or they're right, vice versa, we can prove it.
Yeah. And that is kind of the wonder of the digital age, but it is kind of the downfall of the politician, because now that they're held accountable, we can go on and we can see what their voting record was. We can see whether they were even showed up, inside the halls of Congress.
Right.
We know when they were absent, when they weren't. We know where their financials come from, and so that is kind of the beauty of the digital age. But for a politician, it's got to be kind of the nightmare, because now they really have to toe the line, because we've got this information, and it's kind of like our ammunition against them.
Amen. And I just am shocked as to how some of these people can sit there and, well, I never said that. And look at Obamacare. This is a classic case right now where there are literally reams and reams of paper and just absolutely roll after roll of film of Obama saying this, and this, and then he denied it. Yeah. And you do nothing to keep your integrity when you lie after you've repeatedly said the wrong story on so many accounts. Anyway, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you. They've got the best in batteries. Oh, how old is your battery? Not working real good? Went out the other day and it went zoom, 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 and then it started up. Well, don't take any more chances. You better have your battery tested, and they've got the best in batteries at all 7 locations. The best in brake service. When you say, whoa, you mean whoa. And they've got the best in shocks and struts and front-end alignments, and, of course, the best in all your traction tires. There you go. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. They're the best. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, John on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Let's give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I was also going to mention to you about what Obama said during the 8 o'clock hour news. I was listening to this, and we had a story on it the other day about methane gas. And the worries about the reduction in methane gas into the atmosphere and some of the things that might be imposed on the livestock industry. I'm going to be doing quite a bit of research on this over the next couple of days because I don't know if you were listening closely at 8 o'clock or not, but Obama said that he is going to demand that half of the methane gas releases are curbed and stopped in the next decade. Now, what does that mean? What does that mean? How is it going to affect us, and how is it going to affect livestock operations? Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Hey, Zeb, I want to backtrack just a little bit about the Muslim religion. I worked at a major potato processor in Twin Falls for 6 years. They import all kinds of foreigners from all the deprived countries. Iran, Afghanistan, Iraq. I knew 2 gentlemen from Iran. They were kind, very, very humble individuals. I knew a dozen or so of the ones from Iraq and Afghanistan. I have never in my life met such racist, anti-Americans than those individuals from Iraq and Afghanistan. And they turn our laws against us and say, I'm a racist. And instantaneously, the company goes to their side because they're intimidated by their Muslim religion. And there was nothing going on, and all they got to do is say, you're racist.
Yeah, let me interrupt you. Whoa.
Brought up on charges in the company because this one male wanted to jerk the female heister driver off the heister and say, I kill you, in front of a supervisor and 4 workers.
Yeah.
Nothing was done.
Okay, now wait a minute. Stop.
Repeatedly, and this individual finally got ejected from the company from other than that reason. And I wanted to say, it doesn't matter if they're male or female, these Muslims, and I will use the word Muslim, because I'm not racist or religious racist or whatever. Those people from those religions in those countries, not Iran, from Iraq and Afghanistan, they're the biggest anti-American, racist countries that I've been exposed to.
All right, I got to interrupt you right there. Stop, please, because I'm out of time, and I want you to call me back when I have more time. You can look at your watch. I got to go to CBS News. You're bringing up a very interesting story, one of which I also have some information regarding, and I want to share that with the audience and have you call back. However, I'm out of time for this hour, so try to give me a call back earlier in the hour tomorrow so we can spend more time, okay?
I can do that, Zeb.
God bless. Have a good day. I'll take a break. Be back after 6 minutes. CBS News is next. Don't go away. Oh, my. Locally, the news isn't much better, is it? Good morning, everybody. I'm Zeb Bell, Zeb at the Ranch, with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. Service, the key word. And, of course, let's not forget some of our great advertisers like Western Waste Services. Let's hear more about them.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal.
Western Waste Services, locally owned and operated, serving you. Well, I tell you what, serving, that word sometimes gets abused. Not in this case. Absolutely, they are serving you, always at your disposal. Get on the route service today. Call 734-6969 and get your garbage picked up right on time every week. Boom, it's gone. And then, of course, don't forget they've got the dumpsters in various sizes. My goodness sakes, those dumpsters, you can fill up from the basement and fill them up from all the debris you got in the garage. Clean everything up. I'll tell you, they serve you. Kelly and the crew at Western Waste Services, always at your disposal, 734-6969. Oh, my. Let's also, before we get Doug on the air this morning, I want to talk a little bit about our dear friend Joel Heward, manager of Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. You know, this man really, really cares. I've known Joel for a long, long time, and he and his family and staff are working so hard with flexible hours to help you and your family when there's the passing of a loved one. Please remember to call 436-5636. That number again, 436-5636. And always working and serving you with the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. Number again, 436-5636. One of my dear friends is going to be on the air with us right now from Colorado, and let's say good morning to Doug Johnson. Good morning.
Well, good morning, Zeb. How are you this morning?
Well, I'm good, but there's so many things in the news this morning. I thought I wanted to touch a little bit about your blog in regards to Mitt Romney and some of the others, but I also want to talk a little bit about what's going on with this utter chaos that's happening over in Europe, and it's going to be like cancerous cells spreading into other areas, I'm sure, and we can expect it here in the United States with these lone wolf attacks, if you will. But right now, why, Doug? Why does this administration, we've talked about this before, but give me another definitive answer, why does this administration, from Obama down to the puppets like Josh Earnest, why will they refuse to mention the word Islamic, the words Muslim, all in the same vernacular as and verbiage as Islam? They won't do it.
Well, no, they won't. We have to remember that Obama, when he spoke at the United Nations a while back, said that he used these terms. He said we must never allow the word of the prophet to be smeared. Now, he refers to him as the prophet, not just a prophet. Those who say the prophet are those who have some affinity for Islam. A lot of people say they think he's a Muslim in disguise. I think he has an affinity for it. Personally, I think he's an atheist because he shows no sign of any religious views at all. But he is not going to be put in a position to say anything against Islam. That's what he is. That's what he will do. So I'm not surprised at all. I don't expect him to come out and say it. I don't expect the White House to come out and say that Islam is behind terrorism. I think the best response to whether or not Islam is behind terror is a question that former Representative Tom Tancredo from here in Colorado said this past week in a column he wrote when he asked a very simple question, Zeb, and the question was this: if Islam did not exist, how many of these terror attacks would we be seeing? And I think that says it all, because we all know that they are all driven by Islam. If Islam did not exist, it would not happen. The left cannot come up with examples of non-Islamic terror attacks, but they won't acknowledge it because it flies in the face of what they support.
However, a little caveat right there this morning. I was absolutely shocked. I got up a little bit earlier than normal this morning and started exercising my thumb on the remote, going to all the different news channels to see what their stance on certain issues was. And I was absolutely shocked that MSNBC and CNN had many people questioning in kind of a roundtable discussion why this administration is failing, absolutely failing, to refer to attacks as radical Islam. So even the liberals are starting to question.
Well, anybody, not that the liberals or the leftists can think for themselves, but after a while, it's pretty hard to ignore it. This president will, because he doesn't do anything for the sake of the public. He does what he does for himself, and is all focused on him and on his ideology and what his plans are. But he won't defend it or define it, and they can't expect him to. And they may raise the question, like you saw this morning. I didn't see it. I don't know. But that won't go very far, because they're not going to go so far as to really say something really, really negative about this president. He's too much their icon for them to challenge him too much.
Well, let me go back and also mention your thoughts. You've always been a straight shooter on this program, Doug, and I appreciate that. But this week's edition of the newspaper Charlie Hebdo over in Paris, France, is featuring another cartoon of the Prophet Muhammad holding a sign that says, "Je suis Charlie," which means I am Charlie. And a lot of people this morning, the magazine came out this morning, I think at our time here in the Intermountain area at about 4 a.m. And a lot of people are saying, oh boy, they're just throwing salt in the wound and they're trying to do it all over again. And the other side is saying, no, we're going to show solidarity, that we will not be kowtowed and told what we can and can't do by a certain classification of people that live in this world. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm not really sure how to take the question, to be honest with you. I mean, I think that they are right to stand up as they have, the magazine has, and I hear that they printed 3 million copies and it's sold out instantly.
Yes.
It's already gone.
Yes.
And copies are already selling on eBay for thousands of dollars.
Yes.
So I think that from that standpoint, the world is making a statement that we're not going to put up with this. But sadly, I think it's too little too late. I know, I don't know if you ever had him on. I know last summer I had on a program I was guest hosting, Martin Moyer, who is the head of the Christian Action Council, and they've just done a documentary about Europe being taken over by Islam. And it's fascinating, but it's scary. And he also talks about how it's coming to America. And when I talked to him, I spent an hour with him, and he talked about, Europe has allowed too much. They have Sharia-compliant neighborhoods that even the police are not allowed to go into because the Muslims handle things themselves. And he said, France is close to the verge of, falling, but that England was even worse. England was about ready to collapse under it and would shortly. I think what we're seeing is we're starting to see very, very late, we're starting to see the citizens in Europe stand up and by supporting things like this magazine and these marches, they're saying we've had enough. Now, sadly, the leadership in Europe is just like America. They're stupid. They don't get it. Angela Merkel or Angela Merkel, if you want to pronounce it the way that they do, the head of Germany has said that, they're perfectly welcome in our country, and she's crazy because there has to be some limitations on what we allow. And for some reason, the left seems to think that embracing somebody, regardless of what they stand for, is okay. And that's just not wise. That's like saying to your children, you can have any friends you want. It doesn't matter what your friends are or what they're like. It won't affect you. Yes, it will. We have to protect our nation like we protect our children and be very careful of the influences we allow.
Doug, you mentioned Martin Moyer, and he's been very welcome on this program on a couple of occasions, and I believe it's the same gentleman you're talking about with the book called Twilight in America, and it's absolutely a must-read as far as the jihadist camps that have been set up around our United States.
Yeah, I think he did. I think he wrote that before he wrote, or before he did this documentary, which is fascinating. And if you haven't had him on to talk about this documentary, I would highly recommend you do, because it's excellent. In fact, we actually, when we talked about the documentary, which focuses somewhat on Europe, we then shifted gears a bit for about the last 15 minutes of my interview with him and talked about that book. And it's pretty scary what's going on in America. I know that they say there are 22 training camps in America right now training Islamic fundamentalists, and they're scattered all over the country, and this is pretty scary stuff.
Doug, you mentioned about, we were talking about Charlie Hebdo, and there was a small, very small story, only 2 columns, very, very small in length, in USA Today yesterday, and I thought you'd find this interesting because they issued a disclaimer in the story. They said, quote, USA Today traditionally does not show images of Muhammad to avoid offending Muslim readers. You know, there's never been anything as a disclaimer to avoid offending Jews or Christians, but they just came right out and blatantly said that traditionally does not show images of Muhammad to avoid offending Muslims. Why is it that the news media is so absolutely cowardice?
Well, that's a great question, and I think they're blind. I actually came up with an idea this week, and I may work on a blog post to it. It's rather deep, and it's off the tangent of the main news, but why America in general, not just the media, doesn't see what's going on, doesn't see how we're failing. And I think, in a nutshell, that the problem is they are so blinded by, frankly, by their own immorality, their own sin, that they can't see what's right and wrong anymore. And that's very biblical that will happen. And I think that I'll give you a great example. I know you know the case of the baker here in Colorado
yes.
who has been in trouble because he wouldn't bake a cake for a gay wedding.
Yes.
And this week they had appealed his case, trying to see if the state would drop the requirement of he and his employees to go through retraining. The state said, we don't want to put him out of business, we want to just change the way he thinks, because they want them to be more accepting. They don't believe that they are right. And the actual committee who made the decision against him once again this week said that his thoughts that marriages between a man and a woman only are no different than the same kind of thinking of the Nazis in the Holocaust and of slave owners during slavery in America. This is their mindset. They don't think logically or rationally. They don't understand what really is logical thought, and this goes to, once again, what we've talked about in the past, that in the end times, the Bible tells us that what is considered evil will be considered good, what's considered good will be considered evil, and that's exactly what we're seeing. People can't think rationally. They are so blinded now. And so, for example, when people say, I'm going to take a stand and go to court about this, and have somebody like Alliance Defending Freedom or the Center for the ACLG, Seculars Group, or one of these groups represent them, and they think they can go to court and make a case based on logic and rational thought and laying out for the court what the laws are and what rulings have happened in the past. What they don't understand is happening is that the people, even in the courts, even the judges, the juries, nobody is able to think rationally, with rare exception anymore, and make good decisions. It's few and far between who can. And this is part of the breakdown of society in general that we're seeing. And I think as time goes by, it's going to get worse and worse. You won't get a rational decision out of a court. You won't get a rational law out of government, because the people can't think critically anymore.
Yeah. You mentioned that Alliance Defending Freedom, and we have a segment with them every Monday. And one of my good friends, and has been for years on that program, has been Jeremy Tedesco. And Jeremy's the head lawyer that's defending that Colorado cake baker. And we're going to have more on that coming up next Monday. I'm glad you mentioned that. Also, Doug, I want to talk a little bit about your latest blog. And everything that you had written about, and the headline was Republicans Already Working Hard to Lose in 2016. This morning early, I had a chance to listen to Bill Kristol. And Bill Kristol, I think, was 100% spot on when he made the statement that, now that we're in the crux of what's happening politically, all you have to do if you want to catch up and you're not sure what's been happening is just go find reruns of the last two elections, and you'll find out about how the people are faring. In other words, what he meant by that is that the same old, it's still the same old with Mitt Romney. It's still the same old with anybody else, the Huckabees and everybody else. And really, things aren't changing. What are your thoughts?
Well, first, I'm surprised and I'm pleased to hear Bill Kristol saying that, because so often he writes his views are moderate as opposed to being conservative. So it's nice to hear he's leaning the right way on that. I'm pleased to hear that. But I think he's right. I think there isn't much change. People talk about people like Mitt Romney and Jeb Bush and even Marco Rubio as these great choices when they are nothing but establishment GOP. They are terrible choices, and they will be a failure for our country. And let me pause right there and say for a moment, because I know we're in the western U.S., Your state, like mine, borders Utah, which is certainly a place where Mitt Romney has a home and has a huge number of supporters. I am not saying anything against Mitt Romney as a person. In fact, I would welcome him as a friend and as a neighbor. I think he's a brilliant, honest businessman, and that's great. But he does not have the answers for America because he thinks the answers, like other establishment Republicans do, are big government, and that's not what solves our problems. The answers are small government, returning to a constitutional republic that we are not. But what I think is happening, Zeb, is when we see the lineup now, and now they've got Mitt out there and saying he may run, and he probably will, and they got Jeb, and they're talking about Chris Christie and Marco Rubio and some of these others. All they're trying to do, and by them I mean the establishment, is flood the arena with establishment candidates so that they can force through control of the nominee in 2016. Yeah. They do not want the conservatives to have a voice whatsoever. They're doing everything in their power to shut down conservatives once and for all. That is their goal. And so that's what you see. And personally, I think that I think they will succeed. I hope they don't, but I think they will, because I don't think the American public will step up and do what they need to do to fix the problem.
The problem is, and I'll stand toe-to-toe with anybody on this, the problem is the same faces, the same rhetoric. It's the same news clips with John McCain. It's the same news clips with McConnell. It's the same news clips with Mitt Romney. It's the same news clips with Mike Huckabee. We need to not only shake things up, we need to shake out the bad dead wood, and we need new life in this party if we're going to have anything that's going to start America back on the right track.
Well, absolutely, and that's why it has to happen now and not in 2016 during the race, because you've got to change who the candidates are in the primaries, and you've got to get the right candidates to win. And last night I don't watch much video of news, but I was flipping the stations last night and I saw Fox News, and Hannity was just starting, and I saw who his guests were going to be, and one of them was going to be Karl Rove, and I disgustingly turned it off, and I said out loud to nobody in the room, I was just talking to myself, but I said, Fox once again embraces the establishment. Karl Rove is the epitome of the establishment. He is very damaging to America, and they bring him on as their expert on the upcoming parade of candidates. And this is terrible. We need to look beyond this. We need to, as a grassroots, through the Tea Party or whatever, we need to start bringing forth the candidates who will make an exception. I think, personally, that those are people like the Ted Cruzes. Ted Cruz isn't afraid of anybody. He's not afraid of saying what he thinks. And the fact he gets such a negative reaction from the establishment Republicans and the Democrats should tell us he is the greatest threat to them, and that's why we should be considering him. It's just like Sarah Palin was. Every time you see somebody who's really, really good, the establishment Republicans and the Democrats go crazy against them, and they make all these statements against these people, and they try and paint this picture that they're idiots or they'd be bad candidates or whatever, when the fact is that they would be the most formidable candidate against the left. And if we can't offer, I think Alan West said recently, if we can't offer a clear difference, or as Ted Cruz says when he quotes Ronald Reagan, we must paint our position in bold colors, not weak pastels, so that we stand out as different from the Democrats. We don't have a chance, because the American public will embrace somebody who stands up with bold colors, conservative values, because that's what Americans embrace.
Yeah, but wait a minute, Doug, and I only got about a minute left here, but if you're going to pick a guy that absolutely has been forged under fire for strength because he's met the left head-on, he defeated the left head-on with their ridiculous policies and trying to run him out of office, you have got to stand up for a man that met him head-on and proved they were wrong, and that's Governor Scott Walker.
I knew that's where you were going to go. I think Scott Walker is an excellent choice, and Scott Walker has some advantages. I don't know if he's the best choice or not. I think he is one of about three that I would seriously consider should be at the front of the ticket, and those three are Scott Walker, Ted Cruz, and Alan West. I think those three are great choices. The biggest weakness for Ted Cruz, his strength is that he can debate like nobody else. He was a champion Ivy League debater. He's got the pedigree. He's got the schooling. The left can't shoot at him at all for that. What he's got against him is he has no experience running anything. Scott Walker has successfully, and in the face of huge opposition, he has successfully done wonders in Wisconsin. I think he's a great choice. Another one who's a great choice is Alan West. He was a successful military leader. So I think he has a lot to offer. But I think those are three guys that we should be seriously looking at, and I would back any of them. So I lean towards Cruz because I think his charisma, when people hear him, they really like him. Until they hear him, they don't know anything about him. But I think his charisma has great advantage. But I would back any of the three in a minute.
But here's the bottom line to wrap this program up. The same old with Jeb Bush or Mitt Romney? No, it's time to clean out the salt and pepper shakers. We've got to get some new blood, new ideas, and stimulate America once again.
Well, I agree, and it has to be done now, not in 2016. We have to get people pumped up now. And that's critical. If we don't, there's no hope of affecting those primaries.
Amen.
We have to do exactly what was done by the grassroots with Ronald Reagan in 1980. That's the only way we stand a chance.
Absolutely. Oh, man, it goes too fast. My dear friend Doug Johnson, author of many books and also the Horse Sense blog, always very interesting to have on the program. And God's blessings to you, and we'll talk to you next week.
Great. Thanks, Zeb. I'll look forward to it.
All right, Doug. Thank you very much. Very nice friend. Oh, my goodness sake, stand by. We're going to have another good friend on the air with us in just a moment. Let's ride Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley. My goodness sakes, they've got all the snow machines. They've got all these skidoos. They've got everything in there for you to head up into the hills and enjoy the crisp beauty of Mother Nature outdoors in Idaho. My. And all the accessories, too. I'll tell you what, you stop over Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley, or give them a call, 436-4771, because that is where the fun is sold. And right now, don't forget, it's a great time to get your four-wheeler service for next year. Don't wait until May or June and then go, oh, I waited too long. Yes, get it in there right now. They got a great service department at Let's Ride Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley. Yup, where the fun is sold. Also, while you're over there on Highway 24, you probably ought to call first and make an appointment with Cameron and Siemens Insurance. Yes, they really care about your protection and your security and your safety with your life insurance, your health insurance, your retirement planning, your employee benefits. What are you waiting for? Call them at 436-4424. Dean and Todd, always dedicated and responsive to your needs. All you have to do is just give them a call. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert, the professionals serving you. Let's go over to Gina real quick and see if my dear friend Jack Euler's on the phone.
Yes, he is.
Ah, my dear friend, the world traveler. How many thousands of miles do you put on that poor car of yours every month, my friend?
I put about 40 to 50,000 miles a year on.
You're always driving someplace, and I'm so glad that I had the opportunity to get you by the phone early this morning and talk to you. There was a front page story in the Times News this morning that was, why did they give this guy so much credence? Rocky Barker. I want to talk about that first and foremost. What does Rocky Barker know about wolves, or the reintroduction of wolves, that you, Jack Euler, couldn't have taught him 10 times over? Why don't they ever interview you? You're the man that's been involved in this ever since 1995 and know a heck of a lot more about it than Rocky Barker.
Rocky Barker and I have had some go-arounds verbally, and I won't be interviewed by him anymore. I guess that's why he doesn't come to me.
Oh, well, I guess that kind of summed up your friendship. Okay, let's...
Rocky Barker's one of those.
Okay, well, let's talk about the gist of the story. Did you have a chance to read it yet this morning?
Yeah, I did this morning.
Okay. Yeah. The question is kind of an ambiguous question. How did you take the headline of the story that says, what if we didn't reintroduce wolves? I mean, it's kind of an open-end question, isn't it?
Well,
I think the article pretty well answered it. Brad Little said what Brad Little did as a result of the wolves and the depredation on the sheep. They gave up their grazing area around Cascade, and this is what the environmental groups are after, and this is what the Wolf Reintroduction is, or the Endangered Species Act. The Endangered Species Act isn't about a species that is in danger of going extinct. The Endangered Species Act is a way of changing our lives, whether it be the spotted owl, whether it be salmon, whether it be wolves, whether it be sage-grouse, it doesn't matter. The environmental groups are using it to beat us over the head, and we're being beat over the head.
All right, now, I want to go at this in kind of an elementary fashion here this morning. You and I, and you've been on this program just uncountable times talking about this issue, but over the years, since the agreement was made to reintroduce wolves, and since the agreement was made on the number of breeding pairs, there has been a lot of conversation and dissension over the number of wolves that are supposedly in the state of Idaho. And every single month, when somebody at the Times News or other papers writes a story, you will see such variance in numbers. Some might say 1,000 wolves are in the state of Idaho. Then we'll hear 750 wolves. And now Rocky Barker coming out saying, well, more than 600 wolves are thought to live in Idaho today. Jack, the public needs to have closer numbers, but is there a way of giving them closer numbers?
Well, nobody really knows the exact number, but I can tell you for sure that it's somewhere between 1,000 and 1,300. And that's the best figures that we can come up with. And I'm going to have lunch today with our Fish and Game Commissioner, and we're going to talk about these issues.
Now, when you say 1,000 to 1,300, automatically a red flag just went up in my mind that when you talk about 10 to 15 breeding pair, which would equivalent, tell me if I'm wrong, to roughly about 100 wolves, holy cow, we're at least 10 to maybe 11 to maybe 12 times that number right now.
And they beat us over the head and say we don't have enough. We don't have enough. We're barbaric because we trap them. We're barbaric because we shoot them. We're barbaric because we want to control them. Nobody will use the facts in trying to determine what is going on.
Okay, we've got a caller with a question. Stay on the line, Jack. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. The whole thing is they have to look at the United Nations Agenda 21, and the Wildlands Project is to kick people off the land and make 50% of the U.S. into a game preserve. You've seen those maps, Zeb, and I'd like Jack to comment about that, because obviously these wolves were never native. All of these things are to kick people off the land eventually. It has nothing to do about saving anything. It's just a matter of an agenda to make the U.S. into a game preserve.
I agree with that comment, and I'll have him elaborate on it. Go ahead, please, Jack. Agenda 21, you and I have said many, many times that it's not about the animal. It's not about the environment. It's about getting human beings out of the way.
Well, and that's what the Endangered Species Act is, and that's what they're using against us today to get us off the land, and it is it's been successful. I'm going to give some more examples here in a minute, but I've seen the maps of the White corridor, and that's the corridor from the Yellowstone to the Yukon, and I tell you what, it is scary as heck when you see the corridor that they want for wildlife to be able to move up and down so people can snap shots of them as they go by and all this stuff. But you got to have something for them to eat if they're going to be there, and that's what the problem is. They eat themselves out of house and home, and then they move on to a new area. And let me give you some examples of some of the things that are going on. This one ranch had pre-wolf introduction losses on this ranch and it was a big ranch, $24,600 a year. But in 2008, after the wolves were here, it was $71,400. In 2009, it was $60,000. And the Defenders of Wildlife compensation to that rancher was $600. You know, and I got ranch after ranch after ranch, but that is not the whole story. The wolves are causing problems with cows and the animals on the range to be able to breed and have their calves, and the ones that are coming off the range, they're coming off about 20% less in weight. Some of them are aborting, and it's a disaster what's going on out there today.
We have another call with a question. Go ahead, quickly, caller.
Morning, Jack and Zeb. Why don't we go back and tell the people why in 1930s they come in here with Forest Service personnel, government trappers, and got rid of all the wolves because of the problems they was causing in the 1930s, and get off this old crap.
That's a good point, Al. Thank you. Jack, why don't you elaborate a little bit on that back from history in the 30s?
Well, it was because that the United States was becoming colonized and communities and everything, and we were setting up private property and ranches and farms and things like that, and the wolves were killing everything, and that's why they came in, because the wolves were killing everything, and they were causing problems with people, and so they took them out. And today, look what has happened. Who's running the show?
Yeah.
The environmental groups and their philosophy.
Yeah, and right there I want to interrupt you, and I want you to comment. We've talked about this in the past on our programs, but I think right now it's a juncture where we need to repeat it. The states of Wisconsin and Minnesota, and I know, that's where I was born and raised, and I went to college back there. I know a lot of people that are in farming and cattle raising back in those states, in the northern parts of up by Rhinelander, Wisconsin, and also across into the northern part of Minnesota. They are being overrun with literally thousands and thousands and thousands of wolves, and now they want to try to include them again on the endangered species list back there, so there can't be any management. This is ludicrous, Jack.
It's already been done, and I tell you, it's unbelievable. And the wolf that was originally in that area was one of the smaller wolves. Just like we had wolves, that was a smaller wolf.
Yep. But
now we got the Canadian gray wolf, which is about twice as big. And there has always been more wolves in that upper Great Lakes area than there was anywhere else in the United States.
Yeah. In the story written by Rocky Barker, he brought Suzanne Stone of the Defenders of Wildlife into the story, and I'd like you to comment on the one little part of the story that said that biologist Steve Fritz was teaching her how to howl like a wolf, and evidently she learned, and she said she heard bullets whizzing over her head.
I've been in many, many meetings with Suzanne Stone, and I heard her say in many meetings how she goes out on the mountains and she howls at the wolves, and she usually doesn't hear anything back. Now, this is the first time that I heard the bullet story, but, you know, I think that what it is they have to try and exaggerate things to get people's attention. But I know Suzanne Stone, and the last time I had contact with her was at a Fish and Game Commission meeting in Boise. And I went up to her after all the environmental people got through talking at the Fish and Game Commission meeting, and I just looked at her and I said, Suzanne, you were at the table when the state management plan was made. I said, you know what the numbers are supposed to be. I said, why can't you just get up and tell the truth? And there'd be no problems. If the truth was told every day, there would be no problems. And she just turned around and walked off, and that's the last time I talked to her.
Yeah, but Jack, you and I, and like Adrian alluded to earlier on his call, it's not about Jack Euler, it's not about the wolves, it's not about protecting people's livestock, it's not about protecting the numbers of elk and deer, it's about control. Isn't it really about control? That's what these environmentalists want.
It is, and under our political system, they have gotten, it's through the Endangered Species Act, the ESA, is how they're controlling us, and how it's being controlled. And, I mean, it isn't just Idaho, Montana, and Wyoming. It's all over. This ESA is being used to control things all over the United States, whether it be a fly that's supposedly endangered or what it might be. We are being attacked and controlled by the ESA.
Jack, the concerns that are going on right now, and I've got a stack of papers here on my desk that I haven't had a chance to peruse through yet in regards to new restrictions and ramifications from the EPA, and then we look at on water issues and other issues, and now we're seeing a command come down from the Oval Office on the cutback of at least half of methane gas in this country. Little by little, when is the American public going to wake up and say, I've had it, that's enough?
Well, when we get somebody in power, whether it be in Washington, whether it be in the state legislature, or whether it be where it might be, in the White House, that knows what realism is and does the best thing for the majority of the people in this country. Now, if that would happen, the backing would be there to take care of it. But you've got to have people that are honest about what is going on. And this wolf issue, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service has not been honest with us, because we had a deal worked out in 2012 to delist in the lower 48 states everything except the red wolf in Arizona and New Mexico. And it doesn't appear that it's going to go through, but the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service accepted this. They came to Salt Lake to talk to us to work this out. Dan Ash, who is the head of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service under Obama, this was hammered out with him, and that now they have backed down because of pressure from the environmental groups.
Let me ask.
There is money behind it.
Yeah. Let me ask you this question, and this is really. I know this might sound like a naive question, but bear with me on this. Is there a way honestly, that both sides could call for a summit conference. Both sides could sit down in the same room. Both sides would have ABC, CBS, NBC, everybody there that wants to be there, including even old Rocky Barker. And both sides could elaborate and enumerate what the positions are and then play on the facts that have been laid out to the public. In other words, if we were told that 15 breeding pair was the number agreed upon and we're in excess of that literally by thousands, then let's call a spade and bring it out to the public and really show how erroneous the environmental side has been. Is there an opportunity to ever call for a summit meeting?
There is an opportunity to call for it, but that doesn't mean it's going to happen. And let me give you an example of a summit meeting like that. Here a couple of years ago, or a year ago last August, the Fish and Game had a sportsman summit, and that was supposedly a summit to bring the environmental groups and the sportsmen together. And it cost a lot of money to put this on. But what happened to that and why did it fall on its face was because of the people that set the damn thing up, and the people that talked were all on the side of the environmental groups, and we got hammered. But today, that everything that happened as a result of that meeting is being thrown in file 13, and we're starting over because they tried to push one down our throats, and we beat it.
What about, Jack, I'm almost out of time, and I've got to get a weather forecast in here this morning, but I want to ask you, what about the neighboring states? Now, I know from people that live in Oregon, they're starting to develop some of the problems that we've had with wolves. I know in the Pendleton area, around the Blue Mountains, etc. I know, what about governors, and what about other states? Are they being as proactive as we are?
Well, I was invited to talk at the Cattlemen's Association in Baker, Oregon a few years ago, and they know what's going on, and they know that the wolves are coming across the border, and they have problems, but what are they doing about it? I think that everybody on the east or west side of the Cascade Mountains is a lot more friendly to the issue than the ones on the west side, because the ones on the west side of the Cascades are more like we are. Anyway, yeah, they got a problem, and they're trying to deal with it, but they have more forces from the environmental groups up there in Oregon. Each state, it's unbelievable how things go. It's just like when we did the right to hunt, fish, and trap bill. Do you know that was passed in the state of Idaho by a 75% margin, or 75% of the people, but there was one county in this state that didn't pass it, didn't approve it over 50%. And that county happens to be right to our north.
Yes, Blaine County. Yes, I agree. Jack, to sum up this morning, how active I know you're always out there in the forefront, but what about others? What about other groups? I mean, how can they centralize and create a mission of power, or is that not even thought of right now?
Well, that's a problem with a lot of things, whether it be the wolf issue, whether it be, gay rights, whether it be, it doesn't matter what the issue is. It's hard to get people to get on board and to be active and to talk about the issue and to know enough about the issue to go out in front of people and gain support. And I think that it's just like Adrian and Agenda 21. He's been talking about that for a long time, but is there a lot of people that's out there every day doing it? No, but there's a few.
All right. Jack, I really appreciate your taking the time to come on the program this morning, and please sit in that geezer chair for a whole day and relax and rest a little bit, and God's blessings to you. Good to hear from you.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity, and thank you very much.
All right. Jack Euler, one of my dearest friends, and if anybody knows anything about the wolf situation, he does. And you know, I'm amazed. I got to say this, and it's not just because I treat Jack with preferential treatment because he's a dear friend, and I do. I'll be the first to say that. But he's a wealth of knowledge. He's an encyclopedia of knowledge of what has happened since 1995 with this reintroduction, and the Times News and others are absolutely amateurs when it comes to finding anybody with a better opinion than Jack. He knows. We got to get the weather on in here. Whew, I'm running late. Gina's going, wow, hurry up. And the weather this hour is brought to you by Urgent Care of Jerome, 133 West Avenue A, Suite B in Jerome. The number to call, 324-2004. Minor emergency, major care. They will see you today. Number again, 324-2004. Every day, thank you for throwing the paper at me, big guy. Sprains, strains, fractures, everything. Injuries due to accidents, they can take care of you right over there at Urgent Care of Jerome in 133 West Avenue A, Suite B. Here now is the weather.
Hi, everyone. Michael Rogers is at the ranch, and you got clouds, and it's going to stay pretty much a cloudy day today. The fog is slowly but surely getting away from us. You're going to see some patchy, dense fog throughout much of the day tonight. Also tomorrow. Should be clearing out tomorrow all the way across the board. Slight chance of snow on Friday. So what are the temperatures for today? Haven't changed. They've been pretty much in the 30s for the daytime high, and the low 20s for the overnight low. Enjoy the day. Enjoy the weather. See the weather you got.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it. And brought to you by some people that really, really care. Lower cost, convenient hours, no appointments necessary. Urgent Care of Jerome, 133 West Avenue A, Suite B. Minor emergencies, major care. They will see you today. Call 324-2004. Oh, and by the way, for those of us that might have a little hearing problem, and Kelton goes, anyway, don't forget our friends at Mount Harrison Audiology. You sound like Foghorn Leghorn. Anyway, Mount Harrison Audiology, 312-0957, with Christine Pickup, Doctor of Audiology. You don't want to miss anything. You don't like television, you're listening, and, well, what did he say, Martha? Well, you want to make sure that you can hear, and hearing loss is not a part of aging. Do not ignore hearing loss. It's not an age problem. You better go in for a hearing test at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids with Christine Pickup, Doctor of Audiology, at 1218 9th Street, Unit 2, behind the Minidoka Hospital, across from the emergency room. Number to call, 312-0957. Did you hear that? Okay. We're just a couple of minutes away. I'm going to turn the microphone on. I might as well visit with him for a minute. He's just boring me and coming in and throwing papers at me. Good morning, Kelton.
Good morning, Zeb. I'm glad to see you in such a chipper mood.
Well, you come in here like you're going to be the thug of Brood Alley, and you throw papers at me, and it just give me a feeling of, wow.
I slipped it over the edge, and it slid further than I thought it would.
Slid further?
No, I was going to lay it right here, and then air caught it, and it kind of hovered.
I'm not going to waste time next hour, but what did you think of the NCAA playoffs?
I was hoping the Ducks.
Well, so was I.
You know,
but they got outclassed.
Oh, they got controlled. They got
slam dunked. Is what they got.
Line. There was just
What did you think? Honestly, you used to play football for Utah State, and was that before they started wearing helmets?
Yes, it was.
That's what I thought. That's the problem.
There you go.
But no, what did you think of not the one, not the two, but the third string quarterback guiding that team past Wisconsin, my old alma mater, then into the Sugar Bowl and beats Alabama? This kid kid is like humongous, 6'5", 265 pounds.
Yeah, if I was having to tackle him, I'd probably take a axe handle with me. So I can
He's got hands on him the size of porterhouse steaks.
He's a big, strong
and
kid.
He can throw that ball.
I couldn't even fathom him being a third-string quarterback with the way he
won't be next year.
No, he could go pro. He's a man-child. I mean, for being, what is he, 19, 20 years old? Yeah, he's not going to do anything but get better if he can keep his head square.
But the talent level, in most cases, and because you played collegiate football, and I've been around football all my life, in most cases when you have to go on the depth chart to 1, 2, and then down to number 3, the nerves and the reaction time, everything is going slower than what the game actually is.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's where I was located. You just, no, there's just such a vast gap in talent, typically.
Yeah.
From your first string, I mean...
But this guy raised the talent level.
Oh, he did. I mean, I guess, he was phenomenal. It was, I still think Mariota is going to do incredible myself at the next level, just because they'll coach him up, and he's such a gifted quarterback.
There's no question about that.
They offer a different skill set.
Oh, unbelievable.
The other kid's just all power. I mean,
he's power, and you know what? You got to give this kid.
He's smart. He was
smart.
He just picked that secondary apart, throwing the ball, stay in the pocket.
He made one play, and I've only got 30 seconds here, but he made one play in that game that showed me this kid is not a freshman. This kid is not a third-string quarterback. When he got in trouble, he just absolutely got himself out of trouble.
I was amazed with his foot speed.
Oh my!
For that size,
yes. He's a big boy.
Oh, he is.
Yes.
He is.
I'll be back in 6 with more from another big boy, Kelton Hatch with the Fishing Game. Stay tuned. Hey, here we go. Hour number 3, Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations. And, of course, some of our great advertisers that include Western Waste Services, always at your disposal, locally owned and operated. Kelly and the crew at 734-6969. And in our continuing policy of trying to help those that are less fortunate, we have with us in the studio a homeless person. Good morning, homeless person. How are you?
Here, I thought
did I say homeless or homely?
Homely.
Oh.
You said homeless and it's homely. No, I thought you was leading up to me being here to help you.
No. Ladies and gentlemen, the omnipotent, always ready to jump on the air and steal the show, Kelton Hatch, Idaho Fishing Game. Why did you have to put your cap back on?
Because evidently my head's... the thing.
Why are you stuttering?
Well, because the little band that goes across the earphones was slipping, and I needed the hat to...
So in other words, the pin-headed attitude that you came on here with...
Well, no, I'm so... I have to extend it all the way out, so it just didn't fit right.
No,
so
I never could understand. You come in here, you take your cap off.
Well, it's like a rest home in here, yet it's warm.
Warm? If you'd lose a little bit of that weight, your nose wouldn't be sweating.
I know, that's true, too. Okay. But no, I keep my place at around, 60.
Your kids are the only ones that go to school with icicles on their earlobes.
No, they're just, they can put a shirt on if they're in the house. They can put a jacket on. I don't care.
Okay, how you been?
Really well. It's been crazy weather, but, things have been great. Been out doing some bird hunting, having a good time. And
did you get any?
Yeah, we did. We went out on the desert, and it was really weird just hunting birds in the fog.
Whoa.
I know, it's really, it's a weird...
I can just hear this quack, quack, quack. Where is he? I have no idea.
Wrong birds. I was hunting checkers.
Oh, okay.
No, I mean, my dogs usually work about 200 yards in front of me. You can only see 30. So it's like you're watching them on a GPS tracking collar.
Are you serious with me?
I am. So I'm just walking along looking at my little electronic device trying to figure out which way my dogs are going.
And then you shoot at the sound?
No, then the dog goes on point,
Yeah.
and then you walk towards the little dot on your GPS, and that's your dog. And when you see it, you can set your GPS down, and then you pull your shotgun up and flush the birds and shoot.
Kelton, there is an easier way.
Wait till the sun comes.
Yeah, there you go.
You know what? I don't have every day off, so I had 2 days off, and so I said I'm taking advantage
But
of it.
listening to this last little bit of verbiage, I'm sure they're going to give you a lot of days off.
Yeah, I don't know. It was interesting. All I can tell you is a 3-hour hike in the fog only takes me about an hour and a half when the sun finally did come up, because I felt like I was walking in circles most of the time. But
And the fact is, you were.
I probably was, but no. I just love getting out, though. It's just sometimes days you just have to get away from all this crap.
Yeah. When you passed your car for the third time, did you get a clue?
Well, that was the problem. I was walking along the canyon rim, and I was trying not to fall off into it. So, but no, it's kind of fun to get out there, and I'll put it this way: when you're out in the middle of the desert and you have no cell coverage, and you're 100 miles away from the nearest town, 120 miles away.
Yeah.
There's something really quiet about the outdoors in the dense fog.
In the fog, though, I'm surprised that you really haven't thought about the repercussions and the dangers of walking around in the fog. You look like a huge Sasquatch.
You do, but the nice thing is you don't see anybody else. There may be a coyote or a bobcat.
Do you think?
Yeah.
What's about this commission meeting in Boise, January 2-1 and 2-2?
Well, I was just going to tell folks, if you want to go over on the trophy season setting, it's for sheep, ghost.
Can we start this whole program back over again?
Sheep, goats, and moose, which we're actually putting in to have 2 moose tags in the South Hills here in 54. If you want to go over to that, they're going to have a public hearing the evening of January 21st, so you can get up and address the commission if you want. It's in Boise, so it's nice and close.
What's the purpose of having the hearing, though? I mean, if it's already kind of a done deal,
Well, it's not really a done deal, because these are things we've taken them out to the public, we've scoped them, we had a public meeting, we give our comments to the commissioner, and then people they can go over and talk about, I mean, the best thing to talk about probably is the trophy season setting, because that's what the meeting's for. But if you got a complaint or an issue on any issue in the fishing game, or if you're thinking of something that you'd like to see changed for big game season, good time to go over and say your piece.
Where is the meeting?
Over in Boise.
Yeah, but Boise's a big town, Kelton.
It's over at the Fish and Game Building.
Fish and Game office.
Yep, right there on Walnut.
On Walnut. What exit do they take?
The first one by the college.
Is that Vista?
Well, all I know is when I'm coming into town, I get off that interstate as quick as I can. I take that one, and it goes right down by Bronco Stadium.
Oh, okay.
And then you go down by the Ram, and then you take a left.
You know where all the bars are, but you know where the office is.
Yeah. And I don't even drink. No, I have to go pick up my friends.
I see.
But no, and you go around. How did you know there's a bar?
Because I've been there.
Oh, okay.
I'm not going to lie.
And then you go back east about 2 blocks, and you'll run right into the office building.
Okay. Now, is this also going to be where they're going to have the big game meetings in February?
In February we're having our big game meeting over in Burley.
I see.
We're having it at the Burley Inn.
Okay.
Right there, I forget right there when you come off Overland.
Yeah.
We'll be in Burley Inn on the 25th.
Okay.
We'll be in Sun Valley on the 24th, and we'll be in Twin Falls on the 26th. And I'm glad you brought that up, because this is going to be a different format. Typically in the past, Zeb, we go in and we set up a bunch of posters. We have a bunch of stations, and it's an open house that goes from 5:30 to 7:30.
I see.
And so people can just show up whenever they want. We've gotten a new manager in this year. We've got a new regional supervisor. Over in eastern Idaho, they typically had public meetings, and they'll start at 7 o'clock, and you'll want to be there at the beginning. Daryl Mites is our new big game biologist. I was going to have Toby come, but he's in Texas today at some other meetings that he had to go to.
Texas?
Yeah, it's a conglomerate of fish and game agencies. We tried to do some. Toby was the the deer elk coordinator, and so he works with a lot of other stations.
Can you try to get him on next month?
I'm trying. He's like a fart in a skillet.
Well, that's aptly put.
It's hard to chase him down, but so he couldn't make it. But what we're going to do is we'll have this public meeting, and we'll come in, and Darryl will get up and go through each of the species, talk about what we're looking at doing, because we had scoping where people could send in what they wanted to see change. We had a couple of scoping meetings. We sent out a letter to about 8,000 sportsmen in the area that had left their email addresses on the Fish and Game website, so we emailed it directly to them. And we got lots of comments this year, probably 400 or 500 comments.
Really?
Well, maybe not quite that many, but quite a few comments. He handed me a pile, and I read through them. Pretty interesting stuff. And then he'll go through each of the species and the things that we're looking at changing.
What are some of the ranges of comments? I mean, in regards to what are they saying?
You know, I mean, just to go to the moose, we've had quite a few comments that people didn't want to see a moose hunt.
Why?
Yeah, they felt that they just enjoyed looking at them. They just didn't feel.
We're talking about just two.
I know.
Two.
But I mean, you know, there's lots of comments on that. I mean, we get a lot of comments. People weren't. Some people. It was really a small percentage. There's only about 3 or 4 comments on people weren't happy with the 54 archery hunt this year because it became an unlimited controlled, so you couldn't just hunt there and then go to other units. If you put in for that tag, that's the only unit you can hunt in.
May I ask, were some of the comments about possibly the seasons being way too long?
You know, we had a couple people that talked about that. I'm trying to think back. Actually, I don't think I've heard that from several people before, but nobody had actually commented on that. And I definitely see that issue right there, because I mean, I look over here in 55. We start August 15th with our first deer hunt, and we end the archery hunt end of December. And so
you're talking 4 months.
Yeah, and so there's a lot of pressure. There has been a ton of discussion about the 55 archery hunt, though, because whether the validity on letting 800 sportsmen chase mule deer around in December on winter ranges. And so there's a lot of issues we're going to be discussing. We get a wide range of comments on just about anything you can imagine. Sometimes even the way I talk on your show.
Yeah, I can imagine. There's always criticism for the good, the bad, and the ugly. Hunter report cards, what do you mean?
Okay. Since a couple of years ago when you drew that South Hills tag, after you had gone hunting, then the season was over, then you would go to the internet and you'd click on there and you send it in. So that's the hunter report card.
I see.
We're getting ready for those season settings right now, trying to, like this whole big game meeting that we're having in February on the 24th, 25th, and 26th, that is to set up next year's deer, elk, and antelope seasons.
Okay.
And so this hunter report card tells us how many days people hunted, whether they were successful, and how big the animal was that they harvested. And so it kind of gives us just another rock in our box to be able to figure out what we're
in your box.
Yeah. So giving us more information so that we can. I'm going to throw this little baseball at you, so that we can.
Why not? You've thrown everything else at me this morning.
So that we know how to set the seasons next year.
I see. Now you've got something here. 2 words that caught my attention. Price lock. What does that mean?
Price lock is a clever new way to say fee increase.
Oh, why didn't you just say fee increase?
Because it's a price lock for people like me that buy a hunting and fishing license every year. I will be locked in to the price that I pay this year for my hunting license for at least the next 3 years.
How?
Well, because of the price lock. Because we're going to the legislature this year looking for a $1 to $6 fee increase on each license and tag. So, like if you buy a deer tag, it may be $1.50, and your hunting license may be $6. And I mean $1.50 more on your deer tag, or something like that.
What about fishing license?
And fishing license would probably go up between $4 to $6.
Let me ask you something. Do people, and I'm pretty naive about this, but when you have these price increases on your licenses, what is it now? I forgot. I didn't buy a fishing license this last year.
$25.
$25.
Yeah.
But that is good for
365 days.
Okay, so basically when you divide that into the cost of the license, it's just a matter of mere pennies.
You spend more on soda pop.
I don't, because I don't drink soda pop.
You spend more on water.
Yeah, but what I'm getting at is there really any contention about some of these fee increases?
Very much so. They're very hot. We haven't had a fee increase for residents in Idaho for 10 years. We've had a 22%, what is that called?
It's your show.
I know, I'm forgetting.
Yeah.
But cost of living's gone up by 22% in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
And we haven't had a fee increase. Fish feed, as everybody that's in the ag business has seen commodities go up over the last years. Our fish feed's gone up 175%, so production's dropped by 18%. And so that's why we're looking for this fee increase. However, the price lock aspect of this, for those, only 65% of our sportsmen jump in and out of buying hunting licenses.
I just figured something up here real quick on my phone calculator.
I thought you was just ignoring me.
Well, that too. But 365 days a year, if you spend $25 for a fishing license, that comes out to 0.06 cents a day.
Yep.
I mean, this is unbelievable. Less than a penny a day.
Yeah, a tank of gas to go fishing costs more than the license to allow you, that pays for all the fish to be in there.
Yeah.
You know, and so
goodness.
You know, and that's what we're hoping to be able to do with some of this money increase.
You go to the theater with a family of 4 and you've spent, 2 or 3 years fishing licenses?
Oh, easy. Yeah, it's about $10 a movie, I think, and if you buy a popcorn and a soda, I mean, there's $25 a person.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, for the whole meal deal, but no, so... But let me jump back to the price lock. You understand the prices. So what we're trying to do is reward the people that buy licenses every year.
Yeah.
So your fees won't go up. If it's $25 this year, it will be for the next 3 years. If we just got 10% of the population to buy that of the 60%, 65% that drop out every year, and put over $1 million more in license fees or income, we wouldn't need to worry about a fee increase. So that's why we're trying to reward the people that are buying all the time, and the people that are jumping in and out, we'll see the fee increase right away.
I see. Okay. So if they want more information on this,
go to our Fish and Game website, fishandgame.idaho.gov. There's 2 pages or 3 pages and a couple videos on there on the fee increase.
Or they can call 324-4359.
You're like a steel trap.
I am.
You know, you get something in there and you just can't get rid of it.
That number is just right there. It's etched.
It's etched in your brain.
Just like Mount Rushmore. What's this about big game trapping and aerial surveys?
Well, this is something that would be right up your alley, Zeb. This is
really?
A rodeo without a rope, kind of.
Whenever you say things like that, I know it could be physically impairing to me.
It's rough. Well, we've been net trapping or drive net trapping elk.
Oh, they're big.
Well, yeah. Have you ever tried to have like a fishing net hanging over a 650-pound animal that's not used to being around people?
When he wants to run away.
And then knock him down, bind his feet together.
Who's the binder?
Whoever is unlucky enough to have to grab
the
both
person that has possibly no chance of losing any more teeth.
Yes, pretty much. Well, it was kind of interesting. There was a video floating around the other day of this girl that had a helmet. She's one of our female biologists. Great, tough kid. Got out there mugging it, holding the elk down. The elk, she's laying behind its head. The elk reached up with a back foot and kicked the camera off her forehead.
With its back foot?
It was quite a trip. And
one could be very concerned as to whether you'll live through this experience.
It is. It's pretty rough and tumble, but no.
Is there a better way of doing it?
Well, typically it's tranquilizing them, but it's a lot more it's just costly, more costly.
And I would imagine stressful perhaps sometimes too.
It is, because when you're working with carfentanil and stuff like that, for the people that are, if you actually inject yourself with it, it's automatic death pretty much, and so it's pretty stout stuff. Yeah. And so they try to drive net. They do some net gunning where they shoot a net over the elk out of a helicopter, and then
that would be a rodeo.
It is. It's all a rodeo. But we've been doing that for the last couple of weeks. They're actually
in the snow.
Yeah. Well, it makes it easier. If the elk are wallowing around in the snow, it makes it a lot easier than when you're hitting a rock.
What do you do? Drive them into a holding area?
No, we take these nets. They're about 5 foot tall, and you take two boards, and they're 1x2s, and you cross them over and hook them on the top string, and it holds the net up in the air.
Yeah.
And then they bring a helicopter in, and we have we have 2 lines of nets and then some cross nets, and so you've probably got 500 to 800 yards of net put up in a ravine.
Wait a minute, what does the helicopter do?
Drives the elk into it. They push them like you're herding them.
I would not want to be in the helicopter.
That's a real rodeo too, and I've been in those before when they're pushing them and they flip up on their edge and they push them in, and then the elk run in and hit the net, and then you've got muggers. This is wild cow milking at its finest.
I was going to say, these are the people that are on the lower end of the pay scale, right?
It's people all over, because it takes a lot of folks to hang on to them.
Oh my gosh.
So
how many people does it take? A full-grown elk, I mean, you don't just run in and tackle him.
Usually 2 to 3 people can handle an elk.
Really?
Usually, I've done quite a bit of ship mugging where
What kind of mugging?
Well, ship.
Oh, SHIP.
Yes, where you have one ship that you have the muggers in. I know. You have muggers in one ship, and you have a net gunner in the other one, and the net gunner shoots it, and then they bring in the mugging plane ship, and you land it. 3 of you jump out. You go tackle the elk,
and then go back to the mother ship.
Go back to the mother ship.
There you go.
I like watching you sweat
profusely.
Yeah.
Good morning, caller. Save this program.
Hello. Hey, I got a couple questions for your guest there, Zeb. One is there? I heard there was a veterans fishing license, a fishing and hunting license, and also how do you sign up to become a mugger?
How do you sign up to become a mugger? Call us and we'll put you down on our volunteer list, and when we get people out there, we'll give you a holler. We just get volunteers from folks that help us plant bitter brush and willows and do habitats things, and then when we get around to doing the mugging.
Is it a long list?
We get quite a few people up there. It's nice to get, these young guys that are really active into hunting and stuff like that.
What do they do? Drop them on the ground from the helicopter?
No, like we was out in 45 and we just drove out there, and people will drive out, and then we just pack the nets in on our back.
I see.
And put them in the ravines and
You're
stuff.
just asking for a whole bunch of cheap labor.
No, personally, if it was up to me, I would use the sportsmen a lot more, because we got a ton of sportsmen out there, and we're working towards that. We've got so many sportsmen that spend so much time in the outdoors that know what's going on out there. I would really. It's fun to get to sit down and talk to them. I do a ton of hunting myself, but I mean, one of the places you learn a lot about. I mean, we fly, we look and do things, but you can get a lot of good information from different sportsmen that hunt different areas.
Okay, real quick, I'm almost out of time. The veterans license.
Yes, there are discounts for veterans, and veterans that are stationed here can also get licenses at reduced prices, so they don't have to pay non-residents. So they'll have to call the gals over, the ladies, and we've got a gentleman that works the front desk over at the regional office, and they can help you best with that.
324-4359. Real quick, before I take this break, tell me a little bit, how many elk per day? That would be exhausting. How many do you try to do?
As many as we can get in a given area, so we're not driving the elk too far. We didn't get a lot over in Unit 45. Over in 39, I think they collared somewhere around 35 to 50, something like that.
And how big a span of time?
Usually it takes a day to day and a half.
A day?
Well, like we'll come down here and we'll put collars on 50 deer to 60 deer in a day.
And is there kind of a retirement plan and a healing up plan for the muggers?
Well, they took a few days off because muggers got beat up so bad over at one of the 39 units, and we ended up not doing it. We only ended up over in 45. Only ended up putting collars on about 5 or 6 because we had some pretty beat up crew guys. I got some pictures of one kid he went up to get on the elk, and the elk whacked him, knocked him down, then straddled him, and he was underneath it, and then she finally got tangled up and tipped over, but he really lucky he didn't lose an ear.
Wow.
And so
this is really the old Wild West.
Yeah,
you're loving every minute of it. You should see the sly, kind of a devilish grin on your face.
It can be pretty fun, Zeb. It's a wrestling match.
Hey, don't forget the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley, and today's special. Now, I don't know, have you ever been over to the Middle East?
No.
Oh, okay. Would you like to go?
No.
But today's special, and I'm not sure how to pronounce this, beef shawarma. It's a Middle Eastern dish served with red cabbage and carrot salad on pita bread. Ooh, that sounds good with super salad. Beef sayaklas shawarma. Very good at the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. Great food, great menu items, and really nice people at the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. We'll be back right after this break at the bottom of the hour.
Good morning. It is now time for funeral announcements brought to you by Rasmussen Funeral Home, 1350 East 16th Street in Burley, a family serving families. Keith Amende, an 89-year-old Albion resident, passed away Friday, January 9th at Parkview. Funeral services will be held at 1 p.m. Friday, January 16th at Morrison Funeral Home at 188 South Highway 24 in Rupert. Burial will follow in the Pleasant Hill Cemetery in Albion with military honors. Friends may call Thursday evening from 5 until 7 in Morrison Funeral Home and for 1 hour prior to the service on the Friday at the funeral home. Maxine Adams, a 91-year-old Oakley resident, passed away on Monday, January 12th at Cassia Regional. Funeral services will be held at 11 a.m. Saturday at the Oakley Stake Center in Oakley with Bishop James Cooper officiating. Burial will follow in the Oakley Cemetery. Friends may call Saturday morning from 10 until 10:45 at the church prior to the funeral. Arrangements are under the direction of Morrison Payne Funeral Home.
A little bit of adrenaline rush when you got
A memorial service for Gene Owens Mallory, a 68-year-old Rupert resident, will be held at 1 p.m. Saturday at Rasmussen Funeral Home at 1350 East 16th Street in Burley, where friends and family may call 1 hour prior to the service. Terry J. Quinn, a 67-year-old Rupert resident, passed away January 12th at his home. Memorial and honor guard services will be held at 11 a.m. Thursday at Hanson Mortuary under the direction of Joel Hewitt Hanson Mortuary. Lorianne Caroline Coates Baker, an 82-year-old Rupert resident, passed away January 12th at her home. Funeral services will be held at 11 a.m. Saturday at the Esequa LDS Church. A viewing for family and friends will be held for 1 hour prior to the service from 6 to 8 p.m. on Friday at the Hanson Mortuary. Services will conclude with burial in the Rupert Cemetery. This concludes funeral announcements for today, brought to you by Rasmussen Funeral Home, 1350 East 16th Street in Burley, a family serving families.
I have a story to tell. It's the most important story of my life because it's about the love of my life, my husband. I'll tell you about the time he returned a hero and brought other soldiers back as well. I'll tell you about a man who brought honor to a nation and pride to our family. And while I'm telling you this, I'll show you his medals and the flag that I now hold to my heart, and pictures of him with our kids and grandkids. I do this not only to respect my husband's memory, but so that others remember their own time with him. And I do this for myself, because his funeral is for me, too. This is a day we'll always remember for a life worth celebrating.
Rasmussen Funeral Home in Burley can provide that meaningful funeral for you and your family. Rasmussen Funeral Home, a family serving families, located at 1350 East 16th Street in Burley. Let them help you celebrate the life of your loved one.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Most of my audience would be absolutely, I think the word would be impressed if they could hear the conversations that take place when we're off the air. Right, Kelton?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Hey, don't forget Burley Physical Therapy. Would you leave things alone?
I couldn't help it. I had to move it closer.
Okay. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Absolutely. Nick Greenwell and the rest of the crew with all the exercises, all the sports medicine, all the hydrotherapy that you can perform in the pool. Oh, my goodness. They can get you back to feeling like yourself. Wonderful people working there, and believe me, they've got a staff that understands how to get you feeling better. So, simply put, call and make an appointment today at 678-1191. That number again, 678-1191. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. And I can't wait to start going back down there and working on my legs again. Man, they do a great job, and you call them today. I know I'm going to have trouble with a straight face on this, so we're starting with the other subject. You're looking for volunteers to plant bitterbrush and sagebrush.
We are. Right now, we're starting to get lists together. We've had so many fires over the past few years that we're trying to get folks together right now for some big plantings this spring. So if you're interested in getting out and doing something good for wildlife and doing something good for the habitat around here, call Terrorize Alberti. She's our volunteer coordinator at 324-4359.
There you go. And when do you think you're going to do that? Probably April?
April.
Okay.
Yeah. And late into March. It depends on the weather, but
okay.
Typically April.
Now, why would the Travel Channel want to feature Idaho and some of its wildlife?
And the reason... It's kind of it's an interesting story.
I'll bet it is.
In the 1940s, they used to have a bunch of problems with beavers up in the McCall area.
You don't say.
I do. And so, and this is just to go to say that no idea is a bad idea.
Uh-huh.
So they built these crates, and the story's on Idaho beavers and on the Travel Channel, and the story features Geronimo the beaver.
You're flying this plane by yourself.
Yes. Well, this beaver is in a box, and they throw him out of an airplane. And he has to parachute to the ground, and then the box pops open, and the beaver can get out. And that's how they reestablished populations of beaver.
Oh. Oh, my. How interesting. We'll have to tune in.
I just feel bad for the beaver flying out of an airplane.
Oh, I do too. I mean, my sympathies were at a peak. What channel is the Travel Channel?
It's just his face.
It hurts, don't it?
It does. It's in my glasses off.
Sorry. Oh, I can't. Water in my eyes, and I can't figure out why. Oh, Gina, are you there?
Oh, I'm here.
Well, could you fill in for like 30 minutes?
What's that again?
Could you fill in for like 30 minutes?
No.
Okay. Now, about this Travel Channel.
I don't know what channel the Travel Channel is, and they haven't given us an air date yet.
I can see why.
But they rebuilt the crate that they threw the beaver out of.
Really?
Well, I guess it's just funny. I just feel bad for animals sometimes when you think about being tossed out of an airplane. They name him Geronimo.
Perfectly good airplane.
They name him Geronimo.
Geronimo, it figures.
And but you know that's how they reestablished a lot of the beaver populations in the backcountry. But that's going to be on the Travel Channel later on this or next month.
I don't think that I've ever been speechless before with you on this program. Let's move right now to the hunting season wrap-up.
Okay.
When does it end?
You know, we got lots of seasons going on right now. Still, we got waterfowl and still going on ducks and geese. It goes on until the 23rd, and then we have upland game bird season that goes until the end of the month.
I see.
And so pheasants closed earlier last month, but you still have chuckers, huns, quail, and right now is probably the best time to get out and chase them if you can get to the areas.
How's the habitat been for the birds?
Too good.
Too good.
It sounds weird. You know, the pheasant population really struggled this year. I've never seen the numbers down so low since I've been here. But for the chucker numbers were down, but like for sharpies and rough grouse was incredible. But the reason I said it's so good is because in April we got that 7 inches of rain, and it's spit birds out all over the place.
Really?
I mean, well, they could go anywhere to have good habitat.
Yeah.
And so we had a lot of birds scattered around. Now we've got some snow. It's kind of condensed them to those wintering areas, and so you get more birds per mile now, pretty much, if you can get into those areas where those birds are wintering.
And you've been out bird hunting quite a bit?
I have. I try to get out at least once, if not twice a week this time of year. Oh, yeah. I love getting out there and just wandering around. There's very few people out there. The biggest thing people have to watch out for right now is I trap train all my dogs, so if they get stuck in a trap, because a lot of folks are out trapping bobcats right now. And like the other day when we was out, we actually came up on a bobcat that was in a trap.
Yeah.
And my dog was pretty funny. She points and then she wheeled back at me when this great big tom is a big tom bobcat.
Yeah.
Wheeled around, but you just don't want them to fight. Teach them to kind of, I don't know. My dogs won't step in them anymore because they've been around traps so much.
So they can sense where they are.
They can smell the baits that are on them and the scent. And
what about you?
I can't.
Oh, okay.
I haven't got that good a nose.
Oh. Well, you're not a beaver flying out of a plane either.
I know. But it's just I have to chuckle some of the things that people came up with, to how to do stuff, but just tossing them out of an airplane.
That was quite a story. Now, I understand now the hunting season's going to wrap up, and the upland birds end of the month. Duck season ends on January 23rd.
And then we'll have cottontail season that goes a little bit into February.
Okay.
And then we are in the process. We're just right around the corner from starting to have applications for spring turkey, spring bear, and
there's no bear down here, though, is there?
No, and we don't have a lot of. There's only a couple of controlled hunts in the state, but we still have an application period for that. But I mean, come April 15th, the general season opens, so you got February, March, April, and we're back into full swing of hunting again.
Take a couple of months off and then hit it.
Yeah. So no, it's ice fishing.
By the way, McGargle still work for you guys?
He does.
He does.
He does.
You think there's chances that he might go fishing this next year?
Probably.
I see.
I don't know whether it'll be with you or not. No.
Good morning, caller. Thank you for calling in. You have no idea how much we appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, I was wondering if he dropped Pocahontas with Geronimo.
No.
So thank you very much for your call. That's a program that's a must-see on my list, I tell you what.
Well, I think it'd be pretty interesting to, just to see the rest of the story.
The rest of the story.
Yeah.
By the way, I understand now that you're turning into quite a public speaker, and you're traveling around the state of Idaho as with a suit and a tie on, and being introduced at various groups like the Burley Lions coming up this Friday.
Yep, I'll be over there, and no, I will not be in a suit and a tie, but I was going to say if people are interested, I'll be over in the Burley area at Maury. Is it Maury's?
Maury Steakhouse.
Maury Steakhouse at noon on Friday. We're just going to talk about some of the season updates, what we've been seeing going on. We're going to talk about the fee lock. price lock on that, and then I'm going to be taking questions. I usually only give a short presentation, and then basically what I want to do is hear what people are wanting to know about, and then try to answer those questions for them.
That's good. Do you do a lot of this?
Probably more than people. Yeah, quite a bit.
Really?
I'll do a couple, 3 a month, and
so you are kind of the centerfold for the Fish and Game.
Well, it's pretty
obnoxious to think that way too. Yeah. So think of it. I'm sorry I said that.
But, no, I do get out and talk to a lot of different groups and organizations, and so no, and more than happy to come to anybody's if they have something that they want to learn more about or hear more about.
Now, what time is it Friday?
At noon.
At noon.
We started
at Maury's.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I wish you a lot of luck.
Well, thanks.
What else is going on right now? What about the wolf situation? You read that letter or that story in the paper this morning?
And I listened to you and Jack this morning on it. And so, I don't know. The hard part is it's just such a complicated issue in a lot of ways because, Jack's pretty close to the number of wolves we have in Idaho. It's probably somewhere around that 8 to 1,300 wolves. I think he said 1,000 to 1,300. So, no, he's really close on that. And the hard part is you can't just do the math on, this is how many breeding pairs we would have, because, and I've talked about this a little bit before, when we have to document breeding pairs for this federal to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. Yeah. We have to document it, and a documented pack is a breeding pack that has pups that survive.
Okay, now,
and then you have to track that pack until January 1.
How do you do this?
Well,
that's not easy.
No, and that's the thing that it makes it so difficult. Yeah, we know we have more than 15 breeding packs, but to be able to document it, to know that this is how many pups are born.
They're not living next door.
No, and they're traveling, and so we usually have to get in. We have to get a radio collar on something in there. But the hard part is then it goes through a hunting season, and if our radio collar gets shot off, and then we lose that pack, the contact with that pack,
so all the onus is on you guys with the Fish and Game.
It is. And if we have 2 or 3, and pups are usually the first one shot because they're a little bit dumb, and so they'll come into calls a lot easier and things like this. They're just haven't experienced a lot of things, and so early season wolf hunting, and we need to have wolf hunting because we've got to manage these packs. Yeah. It just makes it hard. That's why we're really pushing to be able to do more stuff in the Frank Church and the wilderness area where we know we've got
These are wild animals, and I can't understand how they can make it sound like you're going to go out in your backyard and just put a collar on your puppy.
Well, we put a lot. This is part of the reason we are needing a fee increase too. Is we've just got. Wolves take a ton of time.
Oh, I'll bet.
And the staff, and we've got 3 or 4, maybe 6 people that work full time on wolves that are tracking them and hanging out with them, and following them from area to area.
How do you go about finding them? And I'm not trying to be naive or funny because
mostly howling. And I heard that part where you talked about Stone. Suzanne Stone up there howling from. Well, yeah, of course they're not going to howl every time you howl. She says she goes up and howls and doesn't hear. Well, they've been hunted.
Yeah.
It's kind of like elk get a little bit quieter in the middle of rut when they're getting shot at. They know the difference, and you can sometimes early in this year or during when they're whelping their pups and stuff like this early. Yeah, you can howl and get a lot of response. Once it gets into hunting season, about the 2nd, 3rd week of hunting season, they get pretty quiet. They'll come in quiet. They may set up at 1,000 yards away from you when you're howling, and so we hunt wolves quite a bit, and so they're a smart animal, but it's a lot of effort to be able to track these wolves from when they have their pups until January 1, and that's after January 1. If we've got an adult male, an adult female, and a pup, then we had a surviving breeding pack that year.
Do you think, and again, I'm not trying to be facetious when I say this at all because it's a very serious subject, but do you think that the general public understands how absolutely time-consuming and how hard it is to try to track these wolves?
No, To tell you the truth, Zeb, I think I've done a really poor job myself, because my basic job is to communicate to the public what Fish and Game does. I don't know that I do that very well, because I think the public has a real rough time understanding everything we do. That's one of the main reasons I really like doing the show, because we get a lot of call-ins, we get a lot of comments, but a lot of people, it's almost foreign what state and government agencies do, and so that's why it's good that we have this format that we can kind of talk about a little bit of this stuff. And I mean, that's another reason I started shooting YouTube videos. We've got a couple hundred YouTube videos on different projects,
which I think is good, because it gives first-person awareness as to what you're doing. Mm-hmm. But I would say this, that because our society is so removed from the farm and the ranch and the outdoor life, a lot of people don't realize we're talking about wild animals out in wild terrain.
We are, and a lot of, I mean, it's not Cabela's big game hunting. You don't sit in a big game, your lounge chair and can get out and find these animals. You have to actually get out. I mean, a lot of these kids that are out tracking these wolves and stuff like that, they're putting on 15, 20 miles a day in the mountains.
Wow.
Tracking, following, locating, our government trappers. I mean,
how do you evaluate, and I don't mean to interrupt, but I got to get a weather forecast in here. How do you evaluate one wolf from another, or one small pack of wolves from another? I mean, if you leave one area and go into another area, how do you discern that you haven't already watched them?
Watch them. Well, it mostly because of the components of the pack, coloring, number of animals. I mean, and the number of animals can shift from day to day, just depending on whether they're kicking some young ones that are out of the pack, or if they're picking up other ones, and so it can change, but typically it's by range. I mean, they are very range area oriented. They do have overlapping areas on the range, but we try to put, about the only way we can really do it the right way is to get radio collars on them so that we can identify them, and they are fairly, they do stick together until one of them gets killed.
Wow. Interesting work, honestly. Stand by. I've got to do a weather forecast here, and it's brought to everybody by Scarrows Meats. Don Scarrow and the rest of the crew at 331 North Road, Jerome. Number to call, 324-7657. They offer the best of beef, pork, lamb, and wild game processing, and they guarantee everything they sell, period. That's it. You better believe it, and they offer quality products at very reasonable rates. And all you have to do is call them, 324-7657. Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. And right now, here is Michael Rogers' weather.
Hi, everyone. Michael Rogers is at the ranch. And you got clouds, and it's going to stay pretty much a cloudy day today. The fog is slowly but surely getting away from us. You're going to see some patchy, dense fog throughout much of the day tonight, also tomorrow. Should be clearing out tomorrow all the way across the board. Slight chance of snow on Friday. So what are the temperatures for today? Haven't changed. They've been pretty much in the 30s for the daytime high, and the low 20s for the overnight low. Enjoy the day. Enjoy the weather. See the weather you got.
Thank you, Michael. Brought to you by Scarrows Meats. Really, really nice people, and they sell taste one bite at a time. Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome, 324-7657. I'll do the Les Schwab spot in just a minute, but now, it's so hard to manage these animals by having a hunting season, and it seems almost doubly hard to try to get radio collars on them. I mean, they're a very elusive animal. This is not easy.
No, it isn't. And so, some of our best helpers are the government trappers. I mean, Jeff Ashmead over there in the Gooding area, he's been working with being able to build a snare that will actually attach a radio collar transmitter. And these government trappers are very good at their trade, and we've actually been able to place a few radio collars or tracking devices on wolves with just snares, so we didn't actually have to handle them. But typically we have to set a leg hold trap. Oh. We trap them, go in, tranquilize them.
Sounds dangerous.
It's not if you. The thing is it's just like anything else. I mean, Zeb, you've worked rodeos. In certain parts of it, but there's always a little bit of danger involved.
Yeah.
But, once you understand how to manage animals, I'm much more afraid of when we trap and radio collar grizzly bears around, because you have to go in with a jab stick and you got a stick. You poke the bear with a jab stick to put him to sleep. So you're close to a big animal that can tear a trap loose. But they're doing that. We're trapping and locating bears and radio calling bears over out of the Yellowstone Park area and all along the Idaho border like that. So there's a lot of different projects we're working on.
So these jab sticks, they actually are...
It's kind of like a painter's pole.
I was going to say, and then you can anesthetize the animal?
It's just you put the syringe on it, you pop them.
Have you ever thought that the anesthetized animal was anesthetized and it turned out that, nope?
Yeah, they don't play possum.
I see.
Maybe a possum would, but the bears don't.
They don't.
The wolves and so.
To me, I agree with you. The bear, the bulk, the muscles, I mean, we're talking a lot of power.
Yeah, wolves, I mean, they can, most of them are flight or fight response.
Yeah.
But when they're trapped, they're going to fight. And so they pull on the train. And the first few a person goes in on can get you pretty... The weird one to me is when people crawl into bear dens in the winter.
Oh, wait a minute. Why would one of any sanity want to do that?
Because they're replacing transmitters on... hibernating black bears.
Now, you couldn't do that because of your size.
No, I'm bigger than most black bears.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
And so...
but you find little guys that you hire as or get as volunteers.
Well, no, we don't send volunteers into bear dens.
Geronimo.
Geronimo, no doubt. And so, I mean, there's just a lot of different things. Wolverines.
How far back in do they go? I mean, these dens.
Oh, most of them are just under logs. I mean, it's usually only waist deep or, shoulder deep in a lot of them.
I see.
And stuff like that.
And you got somebody outside the bear den holding on to both ankles.
Yeah, so you can pull you back in.
Pull fast.
When you start kicking, you pull.
Holy smokes. I would imagine the smell alone would knock your boots off.
It's not that bad. Yeah, I've been around a lot of bear dens and stuff like that, and it's not, they don't, I mean, you live on a ranch, you're used to anything anyway, so.
Yeah.
So, but no, we could use you. We could use you as bait. You smear you in bacon grease and tie you to a tree.
At least I'd have the feeling that I was doing something useful.
Yeah, there you go.
Love that. Thank you. This has been a program. I'll tell you.
I just barely quit sweating from the Geronimo.
I'm not done yet. Anyway, don't forget your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you, and they've got the best of traction tires. All your traction tires, all your tires pinned for studs, they got all your snow chains, they got everything. All you have to do is stop in and see them today. They'll take the time and the effort to really help you for safe driving, whether it's with your tires, whether it's with your brake service, front end alignment, shocks and struts. My goodness, the best in batteries. Just stop in, and they will help you. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin Falls, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, John on Poline and Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley. I'm telling you, I'm so proud they're associated with our program. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, the best. You want to talk about...
I got one other thing. I kind of jumped over when we was talking about the trapping of the deer and stuff. I was just going to tell folks out there, deer body condition looks really good. We're at average or above average on the does that we've radio collared, and we've had fawns as high as 104 pounds, which is like a booner fawn. I mean, that's a big, big fawn. And we've had a few in that 60-pound range that will probably die, but... because it's a pretty good indicator. I mean, light fawns die in the winter because they don't put on a lot of weight, and but they don't put any weight. They just survive on their fat supplies. But these big fawns, it looks like we're going to have a really good survival again this year.
Okay, and all the meetings coming up that are very important, just call the Fish and Game office and get the exact dates on the big game meetings and the commission meetings and everything. And don't forget to check on the possible fee increases.
You bet. And if you're for this and you want to see us be able to go forward with this, contact your local legislature because, I mean, they're the ones that have the final say. And so contact them. And, it would be nice to be able to see this. 10 years ago, we had a fee increase for the non-residents only. And so, with increased prices, it'd be nice that we could continue providing the things that we did. We actually laid some people off this last year, didn't fill positions, and didn't lay them off, but just we retired close to 30 positions this last year, and so glad gas prices have dropped because it'll help us out a little bit.
Yeah, and if you want more information about Geronimo, the airborne beaver, all you have to do is call 324-4359, right?
That's right. And you can talk to somebody else other than me, because or call Zeb. He's got it all. Just watch it on the Travel Channel.
Yes, sir, Travel Channel. Can't wait to tune that show in. Yeah. Anyway, thanks, Kelton. Appreciate the information, and we managed to live through another program. There were doubts. There were hesitations.
And Gina sounded very disgusted with it.
She did sound a little bit on the verge of walking away.
Yeah, she is.
But she's a nice lady.
She is.
She'll get over it. Are you still there, Gina? We'll have to wait and see.
I'm still here.
You don't sound friendly today. Is there something we can do to help aid your smile?
Oh, no, I'm having a great day. I'm just filing.
Oh, she's working.
She's working. Okay. Well, we're going to say goodbye for today. Kelton, thanks.
Hey, thank you.
God bless. Have a good day. Have a good month. We'll see you next month. Until tomorrow morning at 8:06, Zeb at the Ranch. The way things were, the way things ought to be. We'll see you tomorrow morning.